ticket for an airplane. I ain't got time to take no fasting. Oh, the lonely days are gone. I'm coming home. Well, my baby, she wrote me a letter. I don't care how much I've got to spend. I'm gonna find my way back home again. Oh, the lonely days are gone. I'm coming home. Yeah, my baby, she wrote me a letter. Well, she wrote me the letter. There's just a color left without no more. Listen to me, mister. There's just to be real. For my baby wants tomorrow. Anyway, I don't care how much I've got to spend. I'm gonna find my way. I'm gonna find my way back home again. Oh, the lonely days are gone. I'm coming home, yes. Well, my baby, she wrote me a letter. Well, she wrote me a letter. There's just getting without no more. Oh, listen to me, mister. Oh, just to be real. For my baby wants tomorrow. Anyway, yeah. Give me a ticket for an aeroplane. I ain't got time to take no fasting. Oh, the lonely days are gone. I'm coming home. Yeah, my baby, she wrote me a letter. Oh, my baby wrote me a letter now.
All right, folks, welcome to the Sports Desk here. 3.5 hours of sports here on a Wednesday night here on HerbFM Radio. We have Sheldon Mingles with us, who writes for LSU basketball. So LSU's making a trip to D.C. this weekend to play Michigan State. So Sheldon, thanks for joining us. Talk about LSU, a big win over Maryland last Saturday. So what did they got to do to keep that momentum going?
Well, the biggest thing they have going right now is that they are feeling that they're I don't know if you would say playing with house money, but they are they're kind of loose and easy right now. They're not tight at all. The 2 wins in the NCAA tournament can do a lot for you, and this team had already won a bunch of they were 11-5 in games decided by 6 points or less before last weekend, but now they're 13-5 in games decided by 6 points or less this season. So they're a very confident team, and they believe they're on a roll right now.
Yeah, let's talk about this Michigan State squad. They're clicking right now. They had great first 2 rounds out there in Des Moines, Iowa. What do you see on that Michigan State team?
Well, the thing that's out to me is when you look at their stats and their season results is that they beat Michigan 3 times. And Michigan, as you know, was in the top 10 for most of the season, pretty much number 5, 6. I think they may have even got up as high as 4. But Michigan's a very good team, and they handled them 3 times, including in the Big Ten championship game. So, Michigan's got a very, very fine team and a great coach, and but Michigan State handled them all 3 times. And I just think the style of play that Michigan State has with the emphasis on rebounding and physical play and attacking the basket. I think that did serve them well in those games against Michigan. But they're Michigan State's 10-1. They're ranked 5th in the country. They're ranked. They 10-1 in games against ranked opponents. So a very formidable opponent for LSU, which is like a 17-5 in those close games. But the question is, will they be able to stay close to Michigan State and kind of hang in there? One of the big things about LSU is since Will Wade took over last year, the now suspended coach Will Wade, when he took over last year, he kept talking about 6-minute games, 6-minute games, 6-minute games. And they put it up on the scoreboard, in their practice gym, and they work on that. They constantly work on that. And it always seems, it's funny, it always seems like there's a dividing line between the first 34 minutes and the last 6 minutes of the game, and they always seem to have a knack for finding a way to win in those 6-minute games. But they're very good at doing that. But the question is, like I said, will they be able to hang in there with a good Michigan State team? Although Michigan State's kind of thin, they lost a couple players and they don't have a lot of depth, but they do have some really good players.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you about that with the coach being suspended because of the situation that's going on. Do you feel like the team's routing around that whole situation so he could have like a positive, show his players that actually, he's doing, the players want to play?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they talk about him all the time. They've embraced their interim coach, Tony Benford. Tony has said, many times in the last couple of weeks since the suspension happened, I guess it's almost 3 weeks now, but he has repeatedly said that he's the interim coach, but they're really co-coaches, and they really do get along really well. He's got a guy named Greg Heyer, and he's got a guy named Bill Armstrong, so they're doing those 3 guys are kind of sharing the load, if you will, to get this team as far as they can. And the players have really embraced them. A lot of times something like that happens and they take sides. They don't want to play for these coaches. They want to play for the head coach, and that's not the case here because they really, really embraced playing for Tony Benford and the other 2 assistants.
I know you don't want to look ahead. It's the last question. I know you guys don't want to look ahead, but you might face a Virginia Tech team or a Duke team. So what do you think about that game coming up on Friday night after you guys?
Well, after watching Duke many times this season, I was able to see them several times since they play mostly on a Tuesday night and sometimes on a Wednesday night, but I've seen them a lot this year. Just the play of, R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson, obviously, it just grabbed your attention right away, and just to watch those guys. And then what they did the other night, I mean, I'm not discounting Virginia Tech, that they could get by. Some people are thinking Duke may be vulnerable as a number 1 seed, but I don't know. I know they had a scare the other day, but what they did the other night was kind of not impossible, because I saw LSU was losing to Missouri by 14 with 2 minutes and 8 seconds to play, and got it to overtime and won the game in overtime at Missouri. So strange things can happen in NCAA basketball, especially the tournament. And Duke had one of those games the other night, and like I said, those 2 kids, Williamson and Barrett. I say kids, but they're grown men. They were phenomenal, and to watch them play is just fun to watch if you're a basketball fan.
Exactly. I saw him down in Charlotte, so they're good. They're 2 good players on that Duke squad, and I know they're probably gonna be gone after this tournament's over to the NBA.
Yep, they'll be gone, and LSU has one that's probably a one and done player, a guy named Naz Reid, who's a 6'10", 250-pound forward. He is up from this area. He's from New Jersey, and he's kind of close to home here, but he's played very well for LSU. He's projected, the last I looked, to be the 19th player picked in the draft, and he's probably gone. I mean, the assistant coach Greg Heyer said the other day as much. And so I think that Will Wade kind of knew that when they signed him, that he was a one and done guy. But I mean, he has the body that the NBA is looking for. He's got the skills. He can hit the three. He can step back and hit the three. So he's very, very good. He's averaged almost nine rebounds a game in the last 22 games, I believe it is. I figured it out. But just a very good player, and I think he's going to be gone after this year.
Well, Sheldon, thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy, and good luck and enjoy the rest of the weekends with the games in D.C.
You have a good one, too. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on.
All right, folks, we'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
She said, I seen you in here before. I said, I've been here a time or two. She said, hello, my name is Bobby Joe. Meet my twin sister, Betty Lou. And we're both feeling kind of wild tonight.
All right, folks, welcome to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. I'm Chris Idell here on a Wednesday night, 3.5 hours. Coming up right now, we have an interview we did this afternoon with the Washington Nationals broadcaster, Charlie Sloves, who does the Washington National games on the Nationals radio down there in D.C., so we talked to him this afternoon. And then after that, we have Coach Kenny Brooks, who is the Virginia Tech women's basketball coach, who is going to be going to Harrisonburg, Virginia tomorrow to play his former team, JMU, the Dukes, in a women's NIT semifinal, quarterfinal game. So, and then around 6:15, Brad Hagan, who is the head women's bowling coach at Sam Houston State, will join us at 6:15. And then at 6:30, Gerald Arnold, who is the Frederick Keys broadcaster, will join us at 6:30. So here's the meantime. Here is Charlie Sloves from the Washington Nationals.
Hello.
Hi, Charlie. This is Chris Idell from HerbFM Radio in Baltimore.
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. I didn't know if I call your house or your cell, so I tried the house first, thinking that would be the best phone number to use.
Yeah, if it sounds good to you.
It sounds really good to me. Thank you so much for doing this today. Well, opening day is tomorrow, and big matchup between DeGrom versus Matt Scherzer. So this is almost like a World Series or an ALCS Game 1 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better matchup. DeGrom was the Cy Young Award winner, the best in the National League, maybe in all of baseball last year, depending on, how you regard your numbers. Certainly both deserving of the award. Scherzer's won it 3 times already. So, 2 aces on the mound, opening day. It's like a holiday. I don't think you could ask for more.
Yeah. So this is year 1 after Bryce Harper. So what does the Nationals got to do to replace that bat in that lineup?
Well, I think they've done a lot in the offseason and, anticipating that could happen. They didn't get a lot of offense from the catcher position. They went out and traded for Yan Gomes after they signed Kurt Suzuki. So I think they have a great catching tandem and, a little protection if one of them gets nicked up. They've both been starting catchers, both been all-stars. Gomes is a Gold Glove caliber catcher. Second base, they're going to be much improved with Brian Dozier there defensively. And last year was a down year for him, and he still hit 21 home runs, but he played hurt all year with a bone bruise in the knee, and tried to play through it. It's never been on the disabled list before, and this is a guy who can turn a double play, can make all the plays going left, right, coming in. So I think they're going to be much better defensively in the infield, not give away as many outs trying to turn double plays or make plays. So I think they could have a really good infield and get a lot of offense from second base. I mean, this guy's hit 35, 40 home runs in his career with the Twins, so that could make up for a lot. You're going to get more home runs from the catcher position. So whatever you may not get in right field, because Eaton's not really a power hitter, he might hit you in double digits in home runs, but I think he's going to be a big spark plug at the top of the lineup. He's 100% healthy. He's looked this spring like he looked in the first month as a National 2 years ago before that devastating knee and ankle injury that happened on the first base bag. So, and Robles, you don't know what you're going to get yet in center field. He has all the tools, can use his speed, steal bases, hit for power, run down anything in the outfield, great throwing arm. sky's the limit there, and they knew that last year, only he got hurt early, which was one of the reasons that Soto got to come up and really come from off the radar screen as a player who started in low A ball to nearly win Rookie of the Year coming up when he did in mid-May. So I think they have a lot to be excited about offensively, defensively, and then you added Patrick Corbin to the rotation along with Anibal Sanchez, essentially replacing Gio Gonzalez, who became a free agent, and Tanner Roark, who they traded to the Reds. I think they have a stronger rotation. They bulked up in the bullpen with Kyle Bearclaw, and Trevor Rosenthal, who's throwing great coming back from Tommy John surgery. And they need to keep Sean Doolittle healthy for a whole year. When he went down with that stress reaction in his foot at the end of June, early July, and didn't come back till after Labor Day, that was maybe the most devastating injury that they suffered through last year.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the Nationals are going to use more speed on the base pass instead of doing the old Earl Weaver 3-run home run that everybody loves to see all the time?
Absolutely. I mean, you have Trey Turner, who looks like beginning of the year is going to bat second. Has led the league in stolen bases last year with 45, and he's capable of stealing a whole lot more if he's on base a lot. Eaton is healthy enough to steal bases. He proved that first spring training game, got on base first at bat, stole second in the next pitch. Maybe just trying to prove it to himself that, he could get that good first step and is 100% healthy and be able to do this sort of things. I think they'll hit and run more. I think they'll use squeezes. They'll use different things than trying to hit against shifts. A whole lot of different type of old-fashioned kind of baseball. Play baseball. That's what I call it. Find different ways to score, make the plays in the field, get strong pitching. It's kind of a throwback.
Yeah, you've been in this town for a very long time in D.C. because you did the Bullets for a while, and then you came back to do the Nationals. Is this a good city for sports? If the teams do successfully, a lot of fans focus, or if they start slacking off, a lot of people go off to do other things?
Depends who you ask. I think more people come to sporting events now in D.C. since the Nationals moved here in 2005 than in any time prior. I think a lot of teams' attendance and interest is predicated on success on the field, on the court, on the ice, whatever it may be. Attendance certainly has been down with the Redskins, but they haven't been good for a long time. There was excitement about the Wizards for a few years making the playoffs, and this has been a down year for them. And of course, the Capitals' interest is, consecutive sellouts for however many couple of hundred games now, or because they've gone deep in the playoffs a lot, and they won the Stanley Cup last year. So, I think you could look in most cities and see you establish a tradition of fans who come out to games because their team is perennially a contender. Even look at the Phillies, where Bryce Harper went. For years, they sold out Citizens Bank Park. They haven't made the playoffs since 2011. Their attendance had dipped quite a bit. You could look in Baltimore. You couldn't get a ticket at Camden Yards for how many years after that park opened in the early 90s. Now it's not so tough. Right,
exactly. Well, one last question to ask you. With Bryce Harper coming to town next week, what do you feel like the feeling's going to be like? Are they going to give him a standing ovation the first time he gets to the plate, or are they going to boo him? What do you think the people in D.C. should do?
What they should do?
Yeah.
I don't know what they should do. I mean, everybody's going to do what they want to do. I just think it's going to be a mix of everything that you just said based on the way things have played out in the last few weeks and few months with how he ended up in Philadelphia. Whether fans feel that he should thank them. I mean, he doesn't have to. Paul Goldschmidt did it the next day after he was traded to St. Louis. Did a thank you to the fans in Arizona. So, I mean, everybody's different. Other players have done it. It probably would have meant more that day than if he does it next week. We'll just have to wait and see. I think, my wife had a great line when you'd have a love affair with somebody, whether it's your girlfriend, whoever. This is like a breakup, and some people deal with it better than others, and then some people are angry, and some people it takes time to get over.
Exactly. I agree. Well, good luck tonight with your show, and good luck with opening day tomorrow.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right, bye.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. And we have the bowling coach from Sam Houston State, Brad Hagan, with us. Big news today. Sam Houston State is qualified for the bowling championship, the National Collegiate Women's Bowling Championship. That's going to be held in Cleveland in 2 weeks, and they are They have an at-large bid, so I guess they have to wait for a winner of, who's going to be in their bracket. So, Brad, thanks for joining us. Let's talk about that. How do they set up this whole bracket thing? Is it just like the NCAA tournament for basketball?
Yeah, thanks for having me first and foremost. And yeah, what it is right now is four teams have been automatically seeded and are advancing already to Cleveland. Vanderbilt's number 1, McKendree's number 2. We, I believe, are number 3, and Nebraska is 4. We await a play-in on our side of the bracket. We will face the winner of some of our in-state rivals here in Texas. We will wait for Stephen F. Austin versus Prairie View A&M, and I believe they will play next Friday.
Okay. Have you bowled against those two teams so far this year?
Oh yeah, well, I mean everybody in our bracket we've bowled against quite a bit, and yeah, we see Stephen F. Austin and we see Prairie View quite a bit, with them being so close to us, and then all of us traveling together as well, pretty much to the same tournament.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys won the championship last week in your conference, so congratulations on winning your first conference title. So, what was the feeling like winning a conference title for the first time?
It's exciting. This is our 5th year. We've had the Southland Bowling League Championships. We created a juggernaut, and we have a lot of good teams, and somebody who we may see, Stephen F. Austin being one of them, Vanderbilt, great competition, and we have Arkansas State and Tulane and Valparaiso and Youngstown State and Louisiana Tech. So we have a lot of big-time schools in our conference, and anytime you can go through that kind of challenge and be pushed to your limits and come out on the right end is always exciting.
Yeah, it's always good to come on the right side of things. Sometimes it could be, when you're bowling in these championship games, you could probably have it won't be your day. Pins won't go the way you want to go.
Yeah, and we were at USA Bowl in Dallas. This was our 2nd straight year there, and it's a demanding house as is, and our conditions are never easy. And this year the pattern was super demanding, where you miss a couple boards in, you're going to pay the price. You miss a couple boards out, you're going to pay the price. So shot making was a premium, as it should be. Spare shooting was a premium, as it should be. There were a lot of high scoring matches, and there was a lot of low scoring matches. So you had to make sure to take advantage of the other team's mistakes if by chance there were any, and you had to limit your own. So there was a lot of management going on, but we've been competitive at the conference championships before. We gave it a run a few years ago, but I'm happy it worked out. We got a great group of girls, and we have some great competition again in our league, and just happy it worked out well for us.
Yeah, talk about the viewing party. Was it catered, or was it? It looked like a couple people in this photograph. You with your fist pumped, and then there were some people in the background. How many people were there?
Oh, we probably, between administrative and staff, we probably had about 30 people there. We meet in our alumni lounge, which overlooks our football stadium. That's traditionally and historically where we always have our watch party, and we had the ladies there, of course, and then our athletic directors and senior women administrators and a lot of support. With it being in the field house, there's a lot of good coaches and staff not too far away from that lounge area. So we had quite a few people in the background, and it just didn't quite make the photo, but we probably had a good 30 people or so there watching with us, and hoping we got the good news that we got.
Yeah. So what does Brad have to? What is Brad's life going to be like the next 2 weeks for the coach? Are you going to be running around, recruiting, or are you going to be getting ready for these whoever you're going to face?
Right now it's about preparation. Kind of reflecting back with notes. The last time we were in Cleveland was the year we won in 2014. So just looking back at notes. To be honest, I'm on my way to the pro shop right now to drop some equipment off and get working there. So we'll drill up some new toys and get back to the things that we need to get back to, and really focus on the things we've been focusing on the last month, and we just got to keep getting better each day, and the things that we've been doing well, try to do them even better. So we're going to keep it as simple as possible, but when you're this far along in the season, it's not about overdoing anything. It's just about managing the things you've been building on and working on. And this time of year, hoping everybody's healthy and most importantly, mentally where they need to be. And if so, then we'll have a chance at hopefully getting that second ring here in a few weeks.
Well, good luck with all the preparation, and I hope to talk to you a little before and after, you're qualifying around and maybe on the way to Cleveland.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and appreciate you guys following along with our adventure and our journey.
Well, we appreciate it. So, folks, that's Brad Hagan, the women's bowling coach at Sam Houston State. We'll be right back here on HerbFM Sports Radio with an interview with Kenny Brooks from Virginia Tech.
Down on the boardwalk, they're getting ready for a fight. Gonna see what them racket boys can do. Now there's trouble busting in from out of state, and the DA can't get no relief. Gonna be a rumble out on the promenade, and the gambling commission's hanging on by the skin of its teeth. Well, now everything dies, baby, that's a fact. Maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Put your makeup on, fix your hair pretty.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio, and we'll play that interview from Kenny Brooks right now, the head coach of Virginia Tech Hokies. He's going back to Harrisonburg, Virginia tomorrow night to play JMU. So here it is.
Hello?
Hey, Chris, Kenny. Sorry about that. I got static.
That's okay.
I apologize for that. So let's talk about so it's the Sweet 16, and you're going back to James Madison for the first time and all that stuff. So is it I didn't see you guys at the women's basketball tournament because I came later. But what did you guys learn from that women's tournament down in Greensboro?
Well, I mean, we played well. I mean, we went to. We had a convincing win over Wake Forest where we played extremely well, shot the ball well, rebounded, defended, and then we went to the next round and we lost to Clemson, which just actually lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament, but we lost in overtime, and we had an opportunity to win that game, just came up a little bit short. But from that, we've been playing extremely well. Took a little bit of a break and then came back against a very good Furman team, won very convincingly, and then had a really good win over the A10 champion VCU, which was also an in-state rival. So it's really good, and hopefully those two games will prepare us for what we're about to endure on Thursday.
Well, talk about your predecessor who took over from you at James Madison. What has he been doing since you left? I guess he kept everything going the same that you built.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the foundation was set. We left we like to say we left the cupboard full. He's got some really good players there, and it's just a great atmosphere. They have a love for women's basketball there, and so it's going to be a lot of energy in the building. And he's done a tremendous job. He's come up a little bit short in the conference tournaments, but other than that, he's done a tremendous job with the team, and which is why they have 27 wins already this year.
Yeah. So this might be your last chance to play there because you're building a new building, right? So this might be your last chance. Just talk about the memories there. You had a lot of good wins. You had your milestones and all that stuff.
Yeah. There's so many memories there. Not only from a coaching standpoint, but from a 18-year-old kid who came into college. I played 4 years there in that building. Countless practices. Was on the men's side there as a coach. Then switched over to the women's side, and what we built from scratch, to the point where we actually unseated the 17-time CAA champion Old Dominion Monarchs. So many memories there. We, like you mentioned, we had some milestones, whether they were personal. For me, getting to 300 wins, becoming the all-time winningest coach there, being a part of the 1,000th victory in JMU history on that floor. A lot of special moments there. So, it's going to be weird leading up to the game, with walking into a different locker room, sitting on the opposite bench, having that electric zoo cheering against you as opposed for you. So it's going to be a little bit weird, but once the ball gets tipped up, I think we'll be fine.
Is Kenny going to go in the wrong locker room just by accident?
No, I have a lot of people there they'll be directing me where I need to go. But ironically, more than half of my staff came with me from James Madison.
Right.
So, it's just as big a game for them as it is for me.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris.
See you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, this guy's in the lane.
Jesse is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a good friend of mine. But lately something's changed, it ain't hard to define. Jesse's got himself a girl and I wanna make her mine. And she's watching him with those eyes, and she's loving with that body, I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that? I'll play along with the charade. There doesn't seem to be a reason to change. You know, I feel so dirty when they start talking cute. I wanna tell her that I love her, but the point is probably moot. 'Cause she's watching him with those eyes, and she's loving him with that body, I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that, like Jesse's girl? I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman? Where can I find a woman like that? And I'm looking in the mirror all the time, wondering what she don't see in me. I've been funny, I've been cool with the lines. Ain't that the way love's supposed to be? Tell me, where can I find a woman like that? You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I want Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that, like Jesse's girl? I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I want Jesse's girl.
Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. At 6:30, we have Jeff Arnold, who is the voice of the Frederick Keys. The Keys have a very busy season out there in Frederick. They're hosting the All-Star Game in June. So, Jeff, thanks for joining us. Talk about who's going to be out there in Frederick this year. Have you found out who's going to be there?
At this point, we don't have a roster yet, but I think we have a general sense that a couple of key players in the Orioles system are going to be with us. D.L. Hall figures to be somebody just because of how young he is, that he'll start the season with the Keys, and obviously the expectations for him are so high. His frontline starter potential, great stuff, concluded the 2018 season really strong, and then Zach Jarrett's another one who had a great season while he was playing for the Delmarva Shorebirds, a terrific outfielder who really stood out for everything that he did. in Delmarva. And then there are some other pieces as well that I think ought to be pretty exciting. Brennan Hannafy is a great young starter that the Orioles have in their system. And so I think the starting rotation and overall the pitching for the Keys should be pretty strong. It was that way in Delmarva last year. They were third in the South Atlantic League in earned run average. And I think if that is the trend up there last year, it'll take a little bit of time to get adjusted to the Carolina League and Nimio Field, where the ballpark is so hitter friendly. But I'm excited to see some of the young arms that were in Delmarva last year that want to move up to Frederick this year.
Yeah, I was just looking at the roster online. I know that's not the roster you're going to get, but Alex Wells might be there, so that's another lefty that's the Orioles.
Probably, you know what? I would imagine that Wells would probably be in Double A.
Okay.
The roster that's online is not correct. That's from last year, so that hasn't been updated yet, and will not be updated until the Orioles officially announce the minor league system. But Wells certainly had a great finish to last year. Pitched in the Futures game, and I'd imagine that he's probably ticketed for Double A, but we'll have to wait and see. That's kind of what the next couple of days are all about.
Yeah. What type of manager is Ryan Miner? I know he was down in Delmarva for a while. Now he's up there with you guys. So this is his second season, right?
It's his third overall.
Third.
Ryan was with us last year, and then was with the Keys in 2013. I would describe Ryan as a guy that really knows the game, has played the game at the highest level, and is probably a little bit more on the low-key side, but at the same time, he knows when to push everybody, and he realizes the importance of his role in everyone's development and how critical the stage this is for all these players in their career. And so he is somebody that really knows what it's like and what is required to excel and play the game at the highest level. And he's also great to work with. Makes my life really easy. He's great in the community, and so I'm looking forward to having Ryan back.
Yeah, I was just looking at the schedule. You guys open up on April 4th, and you have that whole 4-game homestand with Winston-Salem, and then you got the new Astros affiliate, Fayetteville. So that's pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where the White Sox are in the middle of improving their minor league system. They had a great team last year that I think a lot of people were expecting would have a chance to win the Carolina League. They came up a little bit short. They didn't play so well in the Southern Division Championship Series, but I think they ought to have a lot of talented players back this year. And then the Astros will always go about things the right way in terms of player development and bringing in new coaches and making changes and being good in the draft and great with scouting and international scouting. So the Keys will get an immediate test right off the bat because players on both those teams really compete. And I think, especially for a team like the White Sox, there's a sense of urgency right now because a lot of those guys understand that if we play well, there's a chance to move up and possibly get a shot in Chicago sooner rather than later.
Okay. Well, talk about this weekend. You guys have KeyFest for FanFest for you guys. Hopefully the weather's nice and warm this weekend. It's supposed to be in the 70s around here, so that's going to be fun for everybody to come out to the ballpark.
We are pretty excited about it, and that's the biggest thing is we saw that the forecast is supposed to be really good for KeyFest, which is great. Sometimes it can be really cold, but this year it looks great. Should have a really nice day, and it's just a way to open up the year and give everybody a chance to see some of the things that we have in store, some of the new ballpark changes that we have made, and talk about some of the things that are to come. We do stadium tours. We have the Fun Zone open, so it's great if you have younger kids. They can come out. They can go play games in the Fun Zone and ride the carousel for free. There are food samples, and you can bring your glove and have a catch in the outfield. And it's just a nice way to spend a couple hours on a Saturday and get excited for Keys baseball in 2019.
Yeah. And I was looking at your promotional schedule. Jake the Snake Roberts, that's fantastic. You got him coming to Frederick. That's cool.
Yeah, the wrestlers always do really well with us, and we have great crowds for them. Last year, Scott Hall was out. He was a really nice guy and a really good draw. And this year, we expect the same thing with Jake the Snake, who we haven't had out before. So excited to see him. We've gotten a lot of traction on the office night, which is going to be in August of this year. Stanley Hudson, who's played by Leslie David Baker from the show, which is still remains so popular. It's kind of like what Seinfeld was. when it went off the air. It still has incredible popularity and traction, and the Office is the same exact way. And so we've gotten a lot of fans asking for an Office night in the last couple of years, and we wanted to make sure we could find somebody from the show that would really appeal to everybody. And so Stanley Hudson will be coming out this year for the Office night. We had a special Office package of the VIP meet and greet that sold out in just a couple of hours when we announced it, and so that will be taking place in August. There'll be a Dylan Bundy Dundee bobblehead, which, the Dundee Awards were part of the show. And so we're doing a knockoff of that with this Dylan Bundy Dundee bobblehead, and that ought to be great. I think that's been the night that has gotten the most traction so far. But besides that, and Jake the Snake, we have the Cowboy Monkey Rodeo coming back in May, which always does really, really well. And some things going on over Family Fit this weekend. We have Vernon Davis coming out. We have Mike Knuble, former Capo, coming out. So there are a lot of great appearances, and we're not done yet. We're still working on some other things to make sure it's a great year, and then some great giveaways and promotions and other things in the works and stuff that's already on the schedule. So make sure you check it out at frederickkeys.com, and you can plan some things going on, and single game tickets first go on sale on Friday, both online and at the box office. So get your tickets, and it all be great.
Well, Jeff, thanks for joining me tonight. And this weekend, folks, if you're looking for something cool to do, you can go out to Frederick, Maryland, and be part of Keys Fest. It'll be on the Saturday, March 30th at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. there, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be great weather, and anybody could go take a stadium tour, and you could probably see Jeff and talk to him.
There you go.
All right, Jeff, we'll talk to you down the road, okay?
All right, take care.
All right, we'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
She said, I seen you in here before. I said, I've been here a time or two. She said, hello, my name is Bobby Joe. Meet my twin sister Betty Lou. And we're both feeling kind of wild tonight. You're the only cowboy in this place. And if you're up for a rodeo, I'll put a big Texas smile on your face. I said, girls, I ain't as good as I once was. I got a few years on me now. But there was a time back in my prime when I could really lay it down. And if you need some love tonight, then I might have just enough. I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. Thanks for joining us. Program reminder, we'll be on Saturday afternoon at 1:45 for Coppin State baseball. We'll be live down at Joe Cannon Stadium for the game between Norfolk State versus Coppin State. So we'll be live right there, down there at Joe Cannon Stadium. Myself and Steve Zulich and our statistician Nicole will be there as well. So in the meantime, we'll be going to plan an interview. I talked to Marshall Yanda, a Ravens player who won the Ed Block Courage Award for representing the Baltimore Ravens last Saturday night down in the Inner Harbor. So here is the interview I had with Marshall Yanda right here on HerbFM Sports Radio. Hello, I'm here with Marshall Yanda from the Ravens. So talk about this coming up this year, new beginning. Joe Flacco is out in Denver. What's it like? Talk about all the transition that you guys went through in this offseason.
Yeah, just part of the NFL. Change is it's part of it. It's nothing ever stays for long term. There's always going to be guys coming and going, and then it's just part of it. You got to just roll with it. You have trust in the organization, the front office, that they have a plan, and we roll and we don't look back.
Yeah. Talk about blocking for Lamar Jackson. I saw him in college at Louisville. He knows how to run with his feet. What was it like playing with that type of explosiveness?
Yeah, he's one of the fastest guys on the field, even at the pro level. So, he's a threat, and obviously when you're running the ball with him, you have two ball carriers. So it puts a lot of stress on the defense. But obviously, in my eyes, we're worried about protecting him more too. We ran him a lot last year, and I just feel like, running a quarterback that many times, you can't have our quarterback getting hit that much. So I just hope that this fall that we can protect him more and obviously still do our stuff, still do the offense, but just not have him run the ball as much.
You finished 2017. You ended. You had 2 games. You went on IR, and then last year, how did you get yourself back morally and physically, knowing that you got to play football, and this is a tough sport, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I do. This is my life. And I love it. And I love the game. And I put the game first, and take care of your body and doing your rehab is part of it. And injuries are part of football. You got to take the good with the bad. What the game gives you, and the experiences I've had, and just how much I love this game and competing. You got to deal with the injuries, and that's part of it. That's this game. It's not it's 100% injury sport. I tell the young guys all the time that you're going to play injured and you're going to get injured. There ain't going to be too many years where you play all 16 games and you're not going to get hurt. It's just part of the deal. So I've always had a lot of fire to play. And I've always just had that desire to play football. When it was, when I didn't get to play in 2017, that was tough on me. I really missed that a lot. So that missing the game is what motivated me to, attack my rehab. And I just knew that I wasn't ready to be done yet. Obviously I'm getting old, and I am old, but I was not ready to be done. And it was, and you just got to keep your head down and grind. And I feel like, that hard work prevailed, because last year I got to play. I missed 1 snap last year and got to play and be a part of it, and that just shows. And obviously most people in life, if you keep your head down and grind, you're going to go through tough times, but for the most part things are going to work out for you in the long run if you work really hard at it and you're motivated to achieve your goals.
Well, playing here for 13 years in Baltimore, what was it like playing downtown at the down there at M&T Bank Stadium with all the fans who basically stayed tailgates beginning since 4 in the morning? And,
we have a great fan base. Baltimore's like I would label it as almost like a big small town. It's kind of like a small town atmosphere. Where our fans are very loyal, and they're bought in to the Ravens. So we have a great home atmosphere, great. Like I said, great fans, and I love playing in M&T. They're loud, and they put stress on the opposing offense, and they do a really good job. And our stadium's full. You go around to other stadiums and we play, and so a lot of them aren't all the way full. Ours are normally full.
Real quick, what's it like being representing the Ravens tonight with this award?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's for a great cause, and it's for helping out young kids, and you get voted in by your peers, so that aspect of it is awesome. But being able to see the kids today at St. Vincent and be able to interact with them and try to help them just a little, for a brief moment was really cool. And I'm a father, and helping out kids is you can't help it just you want to. You have a desire to want to, so it's pretty cool.
Well, thank you so much.
No
good
problem.
luck with the rest of the spring and summer.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hi.
Nights in white satin, never reaching the end. Letters I've written, never meaning to send. Beauty I'd always missed with these eyes before. Just what the truth is, I can't say anymore, 'cause I love you. Yes, I love you. Oh, gazing at people, some hand in hand, just what I'm going through, they can understand. Some try to tell me thoughts they cannot defend. Just what you want to be, you will be in the end. And I love you. Yes, I love you. Oh, I love
Alright folks, that's a little Moody Blues here on Wednesday night. I'm Chris Heidel, 6:47 Eastern Time here on HerbFM Radio. If you're listening to us here in Baltimore or in Frederick or down in Texas, thanks for joining us here on HerbFM Radio. We have a standing room crowd of animals here in the office. New producer named Poe might be joining us. So anyway, right now we got an interview. I talked to Dalton Shelder, who is the Michigan State basketball broadcaster, who Michigan State will be taking on LSU this weekend down in Washington, D.C. So if you have tickets, it must be an expensive ticket because it's a lot of money for these games. I think I saw close to $300 a ticket for this weekend's games. So anyway, so here is Dalton, who I talked to right now. He's probably in the air right now, flying to D.C. So here is the interview I had with him this afternoon.
Hello?
Hey, Dalton, it's Chris Heidel from HerbFM Radio in Baltimore.
Hey, how you doing there, sir?
Doing good. Thank you so much. I know you're flying tonight to get over to D.C., so thanks for taking some time this afternoon. We'll put it on when you guys are in the air. So
Yeah, that'll work out.
yeah, so you're heading to the Sweet 16 this weekend against LSU. What does Michigan State got to do this weekend to beat LSU? Because I know on the horizon you might have to face Duke or Virginia Tech.
Well, obviously, it's a one-game-at-a-time philosophy, and that's really how this Michigan State team has approached this entire season. Through all the adversity, everything this group's had to face, all the injuries. I mean, at one point, they were looking down the bench and saw 35 points per game sitting in street clothes on the bench, and somehow still able to pump out a Big Ten title, Big Ten tournament title, and now on to the Sweet 16. And to get a win, honestly, it just comes down to playing MSU basketball. Stick with the principles, defend, rebound, and run. And against this LSU team that's one of the top 10 in the country when it comes to offensive rebounding, if Michigan State gets to out-rebound the Tigers, I really like their chances. I think they're in a more favorable position. And if they just value the basketball and handle their possessions, make everything count. In 36 games, only 5 times has MSU been out-rebounded. In those 5 games, the Spartans are 1-4. So always important to win on the glass and important to make each possession count.
Exactly. And then the last time Michigan State was here in D.C. was the Big Ten tournament a couple of years ago. So I guess they got some fans in the area that might be there, rooting them on.
Yeah, pretty strong alumni base. And Michigan State's such a large alumni base, period. They have more than 50-some thousand students currently enrolled, and those alumni are scattered throughout the entire country. D.C. is actually a pretty big portion for the alumni fan base, so you can expect a lot of green and white.
Exactly. So, I know during the first 2 games of the tournament last weekend, Coach Izzo got people were not yelling at him, but didn't like what he did to a player, but he's still the coach. So, what in your mind is that okay? I think everybody in this day and age is PC, and you can't yell at anybody anymore.
To me, this isn't honestly even really a story. I mean, This is something that you see throughout the entire season, during practices, and it wasn't. It was not actually. He was not threatening the player. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. And if you've been in those practices, you've seen those huddles, you've heard what that stuff is like. It's clearly not what that was, and it was taken a bit out of context, I believe. But Coach Izzo is always going to push his players, always going to try and get the best out of them, and that's why you got to see so many former players and former Michigan State people stepping out and saying, "Hey, this is what we signed up for. This is what the program's about." And his relationships with his players, former players, they're as strong as anywhere else in the country, if not the strongest.
Yeah, I just think that to me, the coach is there to coach, and if you do something out of line, it's like you at your job. If you do something on the broadcast that nobody likes, they're going to call you, and your boss will be yelling at you. It's just part of life.
And that's the philosophy kind of held there, that hold everybody accountable. And that's something that Coach Tom Izzo firmly believes in. He's believed in it for 24 years, and he'll continue to do so and challenge everybody to get the very best out of them.
Yeah. Well, if you look ahead, you're going to probably face the winner of Duke and Virginia Tech, and I think you guys played Duke earlier this year, that Zion kid's a very good beast in the middle for Duke.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And Michigan State hasn't played Duke this year. That was last year that they ended up meeting head to head. So MSU hasn't seen Duke yet this year, but it will be really interesting because it's a little bit of a small taste when you see LSU because they're so athletic and so long and so big. It gives you a little bit of a similar taste to if that matchup were to happen for MSU to win and for Duke to win and they pair up with each other. Duke, an extremely athletic team. I don't overemphasize how athletic they are, how big they are, how talented they are. But if there's a weakness in both LSU's game and Duke's game, it would be outside shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get a little bit of a similar feel if MSU were to beat LSU and to go on to play Duke.
Yeah. Well, real quick, one last question to ask you. Talk about being part of the broadcast. You're there with a legendary broadcaster he's been there for so long for Michigan State basketball. What was it like working with him during the games?
Will Tiemann, it's a lot of fun to be able to work out with him. It's him, myself, and Matt Stegenga for each and every broadcast, and we have so much fun. Each trip's a learning experience, and as we mentioned, you think about where this MSU basketball program's taken us. This is just year 3 for me, and I've been able to go to Hawaii, to Duke, been able to go and see so many different things, to New York City, to Washington, D.C., all over the country. So this MSU basketball program gives you a lot of opportunities, and working with guys like Matt Stegenga and Will Tiemann, truly blessed to be able to do it.
Well, Dalton, I hope you have a safe trip to D.C., and I think the weather is very nice here, so you should be okay getting into you guys flying into Reagan, or are you guys flying into BWI?
Honestly, I'm not sure. All I know is I'm going to an airport and hopping on a plane. I have not even looked that far yet, my man.
All right, buddy. Well, have a safe trip in the air, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Sure will. Take care.
All right, man. Thanks, dude. Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us here on HerbFM Sports Radio. That was Dalton Shelder, who is the Michigan State broadcaster for basketball. Coming up in 6 minutes at 7 o'clock, Donovan Morgan, who is a wide receiver for the Columbus Destroyers of the Arena Football, will join us. At 7:08, Andrew Bantera from the Blue Crabs, the broadcaster, will be joining us. Then we have an interview with Jason Belmonte from the Professional Bowler Store. We talked to him on Monday afternoon at 7:15, and at 7:20, Chris Stolar, who writes for the Detroit Free Press, will talk more Michigan State basketball with him. And then at 7:30 p.m., Coffee Jones, the arena football reporter for the Philadelphia Soul, will join us at 7:30. And then we'll try to get Mike Burnop around 7:45, but if not, we'll be playing our pre-tape interview with former Florida State running back, current Washington Redskin Chris Thompson, who won the Ed Block Kurtz Award for the Washington Redskins last Saturday. So in the meantime, we'll get back to we'll get you ready for the top of the hour. We are not going to be stopping and starting tonight, so we are be live for all 3.5 hours here on HerbFM Sports Radio. And then on Saturday, we'll be doing our college baseball game of the week as Norfolk State takes on Coppin State, and our pregame show will start at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time live from Joe Cannon Stadium down there in Hanover, Maryland. So in the meantime, here's some Neil Diamond to get you ready to the top of the hour.
Says your darling, my girl out of sight, yeah. Says she love me, yeah, says your darling, mama. Gonna show me tonight, yeah. Hey, she got the way to move me, Jerry. She got the way to move me, Jerry, baby. Oh, she got the way to move me. Yeah. See, yeah. No one won't tell us so what we're going to. Yeah, we do whatever we want to. Oh, and I love the way that you do me. Cherry, baby, you really get to me. Ain't got no right, no, you don't, mama. Wanna be so exciting. Won't need bright light, no, we won't, mama. Gonna make her own lightning. Hey, she got the way to move me, Jerry. Come on, Jerry, baby. Sit. Yeah, 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 maybe, could be, you never know. Well, let's try. Take it, Alan. No, we won't tell us so what we're going to. Girl, we do whatever we want to. Oh, and I love the way that you do me, Jerry. Jerry, baby, you really get to me. She got the way to move me, Jerry. She got the way to move me, Jerry, baby. All right. She got the way to move me. One more. That's it.
All right, folks, welcome to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We're waiting for Donovan Morgan from the Columbus Destroyers to join us, but hopefully he'll give us a buzz. But 7:08, we'll have Andrew Banataria, who is the voice of the Blue Crowds of Southern Maryland. We'll talk to him at 7:08 here on HerbFM Radio. And then we'll play our interview with Jason Belmonte at 7:15. So in the meantime, let's give you some scores. Baseball starts tomorrow, opening day. So baseball is back on tomorrow with the Mets and Nationals, and the Orioles Yanks will be playing tomorrow at 1 o'clock on. That Orioles game will be on MASN and also on ESPN, and the Mets and Nationals will be on MASN too. Let's give you some scores. There's nothing really going on here in basketball. Let's see here. No games tonight. Let's go to the NIT thing here. Yes, NIT tonight at 9 o'clock on ESPN2, Colorado versus Texas. And then at 9 o'clock on ESPNU, NC State at home against Lintham. So the winner of that game will go off they'll take them off to New York. So that'll be cool as well. So folks, just a program reminder, tomorrow, Saturday, March 30th, at pregame show starts at 1:45 here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We'll be broadcasting college baseball between Coppin State and Norfolk State live here on HerbFM Radio. Myself and Steve Zulish with the call, and our statistician Nicole will be down there as well. So the game will be starting at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and our pregame show will be at 1:45. So in the meantime, we will get ourselves back on the show here. We'll talk to Andrew Banataria, who will be joining us shortly. And in the meantime, here is Imagine Dragons.
Will you hold the line when every one of them is giving up and giving in? Tell me, in this house of mine, nothing ever comes without a consequence of cost. Tell me, will the stars align? Will heaven step in? Will it save us from our sin? Will it? 'Cause this house of mine stands strong. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another product of today. Rather be the hunter than the prey. And you're standing on the edge, face up, 'cause you're a natural. I bleed it heart of stone. You gotta be so cold to make it in this world. Yeah, you're a natural. Living your life cutthroat. You gotta be so cold. Yeah, you're a natural. Will somebody let me see the light within the dark trees shadowing what's happening? Looking through the glass, find the wrong within the past, knowing we are the youth. Caught until it bleeds out a world without the peace, facing a bit of the truth. The truth. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another product of today. Rather be the hunter than the prey. And you're standing on the edge, face up, 'cause you're a natural. I bleed it heart of stone. You gotta be so cold to make it in this world. Yeah, you're a natural. Living your life cutthroat. You gotta be so cold. Yeah, you're a natural. Deep inside me, I'm fading to black, I'm fading. Took an oath by the blood in my hand, won't break it. I can taste it. The end is upon us, I swear. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. Natural. I bleed it heart of stone. You gotta be so cold to make it in this world. Yeah, you're a natural. Living your life cutthroat. You gotta be so cold. Yeah, you're a natural.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio, and we have the voice of the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs on the show with us, and Andrew Bentra with us. Andrew, thanks for joining us. Talk about getting this gig. You were there last year as a video production person, so now you're the man behind the mic.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. So last year I as you mentioned, interned and did some color commentary, and then this year I came back. I'm technically still a senior in college, and I'm taking some online classes while doing this gig, and it's been absolutely great. With the Atlantic League deals with MLB doing some rule changes, it's going to be really interesting. But with the electronic strike zone and everything, and we've got some big player signings coming up as well. So it's been really exciting, and I'm looking forward to the season.
Yeah, talk about these new rules that MLB and the Atlantic League are trying to do. They're trying to have an umpire that's not real behind the plate or behind the pitcher. Or just talk about all these new rules.
So basically, what's going to happen is the MLB wants to speed up the pace of the game of baseball. They want to get more fans, more offense. So what's going to happen in the Atlantic League, which is basically they're going to test it out in the Atlantic League. It's almost like in the NCAA, how in the NIT they test out different rules. So with us, there's going to be what's called the TrackMan system, and that's going to give electronically is going to call strikes and balls, and there's still going to be an umpire physically in the home plate umpire's position. He's going to he has the earpiece in, and he's going to relay to the fans and to the team what the call was.
Okay, so it's basically you got a robot telling you strikes and bugs. So how's it going to be hard for the managers to come out and yell the machine for balls and strikes?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was talking to I was talking to somebody today. They said the exact same thing. But it is interesting. There's obviously still going to be a little bit of home plate umpire interaction in that if the home plate umpire deems the call to be ridiculous, let's say the ball skips in the dirt, then he can override the electronic umpire in that circumstance. But you're also going to see in the second half of the season, the mound is going to be pushed back 2 feet, back to 62 feet 6 inches. So it's really going to be an exciting time and kind of what we hope is going to be the future of the game of baseball starting in the Atlantic League.
And then if this all works out, then they're going to try to move it to like the minor leagues and then all the way up to major leagues, or how are they going to do this?
That's a great question. I'm not 100% sure about that. My understanding is that they're going to be sending MLB officials to our games and Atlantic League games across our league. They're going to be viewing. They're going to be viewing the results from many different ways. They also are going to have all of the data that they get on MLB players and minor league players. They're going to get that through the TrackMan system on our players, and that's going to be sent to all 30 teams after every single game. Not only is that good for our players, but that's also going to show them what the effects of this are. Are the pitches moving more from 2 feet back? Are more balls being put into play? Are there less strikeouts, less home runs? The goal of this is more offense, and ideally, my understanding is to put more balls in play.
Sounds like fun. Sounds really cool.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun. We'd love to have you down sometime and check out all the new stuff and join me on a broadcast.
Hey, I would love to come on and help you. That'll be great. I'm doing a Coppin State baseball game on Saturday, so if you want to tune in to listen to that game at what we're doing, so that'll be fun. Yeah, if you want me to help you, I don't mind coming down.
Yeah, that would be terrific, man.
Cool. So just talk about is it the same roster coming back from last year, or is there some new changes and new places?
So in the Atlantic League, there is a lot of turnover because we're a different organization than really any business anywhere, in that most businesses anywhere, their goal is to retain their employees and keep them on, whereas our goal is to get our employees level. We want to get them back to the minor league level, back to the major league level. So our goal is to almost have as much turnover as possible. We love our hometown guys. We have a guy, Darryl Thompson, who's
entering his 8th season. He'll be back this year as a player coach, and he's a pitcher, one of the best in Atlantic League history. So we've got about 7 or 8 guys, roughly, give or take a few, coming back this season. We've also got a lot of really exciting new guys. We've got a former MLB star, a guy that was top 10 in Cy Young voting, that's going to be announced tomorrow. So everybody, make sure and keep your eyes peeled for that one. That's going to be an exciting one. But yeah, for the most part, it's about roughly 2/3 new guys and about 1/3 guys coming back, and everybody that's coming back was terrific for us last year.
Okay, you're not signing Jacob DeGrom, so that's done, right? You can't.
That's true. There is a $3,000 a month cap in the Atlantic League, so he's making a fair amount more than that.
Yeah. All right. So that's going to be cool. So where can people find out the information of this former Cy Young Award winner coming to play for the Blue Crabs?
You can follow us on Twitter at Blue Crab. Also, so you're going to have all the press releases on there. You can also go to our website, which is somdbluecrabs.com. That's going to have all of our press releases, and that is planning on dropping tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Okay, so
time. Also, if you want to get on the press list, you can also put in a claim for that. So anytime we release anything, you'd be the first to hear about it.
Yeah, so I guess I'll have my dinner afterwards, after you tell me what's going on, you know. Well, talk about the talk about the manager going to be Stan Colburn. Yeah, this is his 2nd season down there. So what did he? Let's talk about his first year down there.
So his first year was in 2015, and he's actually. So what happened was we had an expansion team, and back in 2015, Stan went to New Britain to coach there for a couple of years. He's coming back this year. We're really excited about it. He's a phenomenal manager. He has really done nothing but win everywhere he's gone. He's been at the AAA level a couple, 10 years ago, and at the AAA level, he got to be he won AAA. His team won the AAA playoffs that year. There was rumors he was going to get up to the major leagues. He never actually ended up doing that, but nonetheless, we're really happy to have him back. Our franchise, this will be our 12th season, made it to the Atlantic League Championship Series twice. One of those years was the year that Stan Clyburn was our manager. So we're hoping for the exact same result this year, except we're hoping to get our first ring in our 12th year.
Well, that's going to be exciting. It's going to be a good season so far. So, Andrew, thanks so much, and I'll keep in touch with you. Maybe next week we'll talk more. And if you want to come on and talk about the big signing, we can always have you on, and we'll keep in touch throughout the season. And I'll come down and help you out if you want me to.
I would love to come back on, and I'd really love to have you come down. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, folks, we'll be right back here on HerbFM Sports Radio in a couple minutes.
She'd take Colorado if he'd take her with him. Closes the door before the winter lets the cold in, and wonders if her love is strong enough to make him stay. She's answered by the taillights shining through the window pane. He said, I want to see you again, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? She said, you're a rambling man, and you ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and you were born for leaving. At a truck stop diner just outside of Lincoln. The night is black as the coffee he was drinking, and in the waitress' eyes he sees the same old light is shining. He thinks of Colorado and the girl he left behind him. He said, I wanna see you again. But I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? She said, you're a rambling man, and you ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and you were born for leaving. Born for leaving. Well, it's a winding road when you're in the lost and found. You're a lover, I'm a runner, and we go round and round. And I love you, but I leave you. I don't want you, but I need you. You know it's you that calls me back here, baby. When I close my eyes, I see you. No matter where I am, I can smell your perfume through these whispering pines. I'm with your ghost again. It's a shame about the weather, but I know soon we'll be together. And I can't wait till then. I can't wait till then.
You are.
All right, folks. Welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Radio. We have Chris Ferrari with us. He is live on the road. He is in Western Pennsylvania, so heading to D.C. to cover the Michigan State game on Friday night. So, Chris, thanks for joining us. What does Michigan State got to do to keep this thing going? They did really well out there in Iowa last weekend, so now they're going to be home. They're going to be in D.C. With a big rushers crowd of Duke and Virginia Tech and LSU fans.
Yeah, I think, and there's a lot of Michigan State people there in the Capitol, so that's I think one thing. And we saw some of them a couple years ago, so they're pretty familiar with the old Verizon Center / Capital One Arena because they played there in the Big Ten tournament a couple years ago. I think the biggest thing they need to do is stay out of foul trouble and continue to move the ball. That's been the big thing for them this year is ball movement and stay away from the turnovers they had against Minnesota. But that's been an up and down thing. But they absolutely have to stay out of foul trouble against LSU, especially on the wing with Matt McQuaid and Aaron Henry, and inside with their three big men against those behemoths from LSU.
Exactly, and I think Michigan State should watch the Maryland game because it looked like Maryland did a really. Maryland changed their defensive zone, so you may want to do some zone against these guys.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because I think there's some LSU folks who probably haven't seen Tom Izzo on a scout yet, but I think I've maybe seen him play one possession of zone in the last 3 years. I mean, he's gonna come at you with a man-to-man defense, and that's where this team has been at its best. I don't necessarily know if he could teach his own defense in that short a period of time, but I do know they worked on it some in the summer, so it's in their back pocket, but I highly doubt he'll do that, even though I think he's got different kind of players than Maryland. He doesn't have a Jalen Smith or a Bruno Fernando back there in that back line.
Oh, yeah, I agree. But you guys do have a really good group of guys here on the court. So some of them will be in the NBA, maybe after this year or so. So let's talk about those players that Izzo has on his roster.
Yeah, I think
it all starts with Cassius Winston. He called him the straw that stirs the drink the other day, and that's really been what Winston's been this year. I mean, you're talking about the Big Ten Player of the Year, a point guard who can create off the dribble, can shoot outside, distribute to others. He's a high-level guy, and they've been getting high-level play out of their two seniors, Matt McQuaid and Kenny Goings, and those are two guys that they're going to need to step up and have good games. They had some up and downs in the tournament out in Des Moines, but those two guys have been solid defenders and three-point threats. So that's going to be big. I mean, they're going to need those guys to lock down on Waters, and I'd imagine Goins will probably draw Digby Williams or Naz Reid. I don't know which one he'll end up with, but those two guys in particular need to shine a little bit. And then Nick Ward. Nick Ward's been coming off the bench since his hand injury. He's a guy that tested the NBA waters last year. He's going to be big too, because they're going to need his bigger frame, at 6'9" and about 260, sturdy to really body up those two guys inside.
Yeah. So who has the crowd advantage? Is it Michigan State because of all the alumni down there in D.C., or do you feel like it's going to be more 50-50 with LSU fans? Because there's a lot of LSU people here in Maryland that pops up around here sometimes.
Yeah, and I think they travel pretty well, especially with this team right now. I mean, although they've got their situation going on with Will Wade, so who knows? Maybe guys and fans have jumped off a little bit, but I do think that the intoxication of having whoever gets through it, having maybe face Zion Williamson in that East Region final, might draw a few more people from Louisiana, might draw a few more people from Michigan. But Michigan State has a real good alumni base around the Capitol and in Maryland. So I think that one's going to be a coin toss. But it's that region final, though, where you're going to look at it and you're going to be at a decided disadvantage. I mean, it's similar to what Michigan State faced against Minnesota. Minnesota was about a 3.5 hour drive to Des Moines. Obviously Virginia Tech down in Blacksburg is pretty close, and Duke's alumni base, last I checked, was pretty entrenched in running the federal government, and also all over the map in terms of just casual fans. So I think that the region final will be, both of those teams will be at a disadvantage in that one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Chris, I know you're busy driving. Thank you so much for taking some time. Safe trips to D.C., and hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend down there. And it's supposed to be nice and warm, so go out and enjoy before these games. Go out to the Capitol and see some cool stuff.
Yeah, looking forward. Maybe test some of the cherry blossoms. Should be right in bloom right now. So. Yeah,
exactly. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. We'll be right back here on the Sports Desk.
Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined to believe they never would. Where it began, I can't begin to knowing, but then I know it's growing strong. Was it in spring? Then spring became the summer. Who'd have believed you'd come along? Hands, touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined to believe they never would. I look at the night and it don't seem so lonely. We fill it up with only two. And when I hurting runs off my shoulder. How can I hurt when holding you? Warm, touching warm, yeah, reaching out and touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. to believe they never would. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined to believe they never would. My sweet, you sweet Caroline.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. The taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burned.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Radio. We had this gentleman on back a month ago, Coffee Jones, who covers the arena football for the Philadelphia Soul and other, stuff around the arena football. So, Coffee, thanks for joining us. Free agency has started and it's still going on. So, what teams benefit from free agency?
Well, it's really a football. We talk about free agency this season.
Yeah, this year.
A free agency will return to the contract, so everybody had to decide their guy.
Right. Okay. So basically, what players went on during the with the free agency? I know there's the quarterback for the.
For that draw.
Yeah.
So,
hold on. Let me call you right back, folks. We're going to take a break here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
I left out of Tucson with no destination in mind. I was running from trouble and a jail term the judge had in mind. And the border meant freedom, a new life, romance. And that's why I thought I should go.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk. We have Coffee Jones with us. We were just talking. We asked him the question about free agency in this year. What with the two new expansion teams? What teams in the two new expansion teams relied on mostly on free agency?
Well, I think Columbus made a big splash. Obviously, they're a new team, and they had to kind of build their franchise from scratch, and they went and found some great guys. I know I talked to Dominique Jones, the head of the football ops, and Coach Soft this weekend. They had their first ever open tryouts down in Columbus at the Bo Jackson Center down there, and they had about 150 guys. I mean, come out there and try to live out their dreams, play professional football. And guys, you're in Columbus, you're in Ohio State country, so there's so much talent and so many athletes. And they, from talking to D. Jones, they found about 3 gems that they never expected to see. I mean, a lot of times teams, when they have their open tryouts, it's very rare to see 1 or 2 guys that actually surprise them. Some other guys, you hear about, you see some film on them, you got some, a little bit of insight, you want to see them live in person. They got totally surprised and blown away by a couple guys they never seen. They had a bunch of guys, about 30, 40 guys actually walk up and try out, register the same day, and build their roster that way. Obviously, they've got some other veterans. They reached into, some of the old all-arena guys, Albany and different teams in the past to get some better leadership. But I'm excited about the new young talent that they've started to build. And some of the other side, in Atlantic City, the biggest domino, the biggest piece of the free agency pie is always your quarterback. And for them in Atlantic City to sign a guy like Randy Gifford, a guy that's been to back-to-back Arena Bowls, that's been an MVP of this league, you really don't get much better than that. You talk about a guy's resume in free agency. So for them in their first season to land an all-star quarterback, to go with a guy like Warren Smith, you got 2 smart guys in the quarterback room, and either one of them could be up the center and be successful in this game.
Yeah, let's just talk about, now Baltimore needs to get a new quarterback, and I think Devour, has to get a new quarterback. So all the teams that were here last year, basically, except for the Soul, have new quarterbacks.
Well, I think the biggest thing for Baltimore in that regard is going to be how Shane Boyd transitions to being the guy now. He's always been a back. He's been behind Nick Davila. He's been behind some talented guys. He's been behind Randy Gifford, some guys that have won MVPs in this league. So obviously, his mind and his football acumen should be very high. He's coming from a Division I program in Kentucky. He's been around the AFL game for many years, so he knows the game from top to bottom. He's going to be able to go out there and perform, and that's one thing that I'm interested to see when we talk. I talk to a lot of guys around the league. I've played with half of the league or against them, so I know everybody. I got people in every locker room. It's interesting to see who's going to. A lot of guys have been waiting to see where the dominoes start to fall. Randy Gifford was a big piece of that. That could pull some talent, some receivers, some offensive linemen, some fullbacks away from a team like Baltimore or other teams in the league to follow him to go to Atlantic City. So I'm interested to see now that Randy Gifford, once you kind of get the quarterback set, then you can start to build around the rest of your roster. You'll see some guys start to come off of their IR claims and get healthy from last season, and they'll start to sign. And you see, you see it in the NBA, you see it in the NFL. Players recruit players just as much as coaches and teams do. So, guys want to play with guys that they trust, that they know, that they like. It's about being teammates and being a family. So I'm very interested to see, who follows Randy Gifford and who ends up, in Baltimore with Shane Boyd and Coach Omar as well.
Well, you spend time around with the Philadelphia Soul. How do they look right now? Because I know last year they were pretty well. They did pretty good, and when they got to the postseason, they lost to Baltimore. So what do they look right now? Do you see anything changing?
Well, this is the funny part, and I have to be totally honest with you. I love Philadelphia Soul to death. I played for them. I got a broadcast championship ring for them, doing radio and broadcasting for the last 3 years with them. So that's always where my heart is at in this league. Obviously working day-to-day with y'all and NFL film and stuff together as well. But when I look at the roster from top to bottom, I see some good news and some bad news. Do I feel like the roster is as good as it's been in the past couple of years? No. But amongst the league, the fact that we have 2 teams, you don't see the super teams before. And for a second there, Philadelphia was the cream of the crop. Obviously, they go 14-1, spread the season. They blow everybody out of the water in 2017. Last year, to cut down to 14, and competition is fierce. You got all-star loaded rosters all across the board, and now Philadelphia, fight, to get to the top of the mountain. They get knocked off in the first round by a challenger Baltimore team that has plenty of depth. Mm-hmm. But now when you look at that roster, a lot of those Baltimore guys have moved on to Columbus and Atlantic City. Those Albany guys, Albany led the league in all-arena candidates last year, or actually selections last year. A lot of those guys have split up and went to other places. So now that the talent spread around, now it's going to come back down to coaching. It's going to come back down to execution. And when you got a guy like Dan Rodabod, you got Clinton Ozell, you're going to execute at a high level offensively. You got Money Reynolds. You can build around those three pieces. They're going to build their offensive line. You know they're going to be stout. The ball's going to come out quick. And they got their secondary back, well, for the most part, with James Romaine, DB of the year, Dwayne Hollis, who was just signed back in the Alliance League to the Atlanta Legends again, so congratulations to him. And a guy like Torres Jones. So you got some veterans in the back. Stop the pass. You got a veteran pass thrower. They're going to be in it, when it comes playoff time.
Exactly. Well, training camp starts in 2 weeks for a lot of people, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. Obviously April 26th, we open up down in Baltimore. The defending champs travel to Baltimore, rematch at the Arena Bowl, and then the next night, Atlantic City and Philadelphia will take on each other. So I'm excited. Got a couple weeks. We got a couple weeks until training camp starts. So guys are starting to get in shape. I see guys back in the the Instagram videos, guys training, doing all their speed drills and posting all their footwork. I love seeing that because you can start to sense it. It's about that time, and hopefully, for the ones that are smart, they've been doing that. They just started. It started way back October, November. And this is the fruition of it.
Exactly. Well, talk about your podcast. So how's that show? How's that going? I know the last time I talked to you, you had a situation in your family. Yeah. So what's going on with your podcast?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I've been leaning. I've been alive. The fact that I'm not big jaws and ESPN every week, gave us a little bit of freedom and flexibility from that. But then we took on so much other stuff with the NFL draft. I'll be down in Nashville in a couple weeks. I call tournaments. We're doing a lot of different stuff. Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl. So I'm doing a lot of different stuff, and I've been kind of delayed. Like, we wait until you're in the season to get started. Obviously, you guys follow me on Twitter at Airfield Coffee on Instagram. You see a lot of the breaking headlines. I talk to players, when they get the contracts. When I talk to coaches, when they sign guys, when they have these agreements, I'm getting some of the insight across the league when stuff is happening. And yes, the Coffee House did be back this week on iTunes and SoundCloud, so you'll see it all over social media as well. Starting to talk to some guys. I definitely want to talk to guys like Randy Gifford, like Ray Jackson, defending champ, some of the old guys I love. And also, I got a good lineup of people that, some content that you really can't get anywhere else. And obviously, it started with a lot of cap off in the first couple of years redoing it, and there's really a lot of that. You love that competition. So we're going to have some guys on there that's going to get a little fiery. Going to be some call-out sessions. You got to bring your big boy plans, but it's all in good fun in the spirit of the game that we all love in the Arena Football League.
Exactly. Well, Coffee, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon when training camp opens.
Yes, sir. I can't wait.
All right, man. We'll be right back here on HerbFM Sports Radio with Mike Burnup from Virginia Tech Radio Network.
Well, they blew up the chicken man in Philly last night. Now they blew up his house, too. Down on the boardwalk, they're getting ready for a fight. Gonna see what them racket boys can do. Now there's trouble busting in from out of state, and the DA can't get no relief. Gonna be a rumble out on the promenade, and the gambling commission's hanging on by the skin of its teeth. Well, now everything dies, baby, that's a fact. Maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Put your makeup on, fix your hair pretty, and meet me tonight in Atlantic City. Well, I got a job and tried to put my money away, but I got debts that no honest man can pay. So I drew what I had from the Central Trust, and I bought us 2 tickets on that Coast City bus. Now, baby, everything dies, honey, that's a fact. And maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Put your makeup on, put your hair up, pretty, and meet me tonight in Atlantic City.
folks. We'll be right back here on we're here on HerbFM Radio. We're still trying to get Mike Burnup, but he's traveling with the team right now from Blacksburg to DC for the Sweet 16. But in the meantime, we'll play our interview of. We'll get back to we'll put Jason Del Monte on in the 8 o'clock hour. But right now we got Chris Thompson from the Washington Redskins here on HerbFM Radio.
Hello, Ryan. Here is Chris Thompson from the Washington Redskins, and if you are a Florida State fan like myself, you don't know that. He played for Florida State. First question is, I want to ask you about college. You were your coach at college, Jimbo Fisher. What type of coach was he, in and out of the locker? Because I heard a lot of stories that he was like, he yells at players, but to me, he seems like a cool dude.
Yeah, he's one of those coaches. He's gonna yell at players. That's just that's how he is. But you also gotta understand him and who he is as a person. Off the field, he's not that guy. I mean, I've been yelled at him a few times, and I tell you, like 2 or 3 minutes later, he forgets about why he even yelled at you. It's more so, his yelling is more of disappointment.
Yeah.
When he knows you know this play and you mess it up, or he knows, like, okay, you're better than giving this effort. Right. That's the reason why he yells. He wants the best out of all of his guys, and off the field, he's a great guy. He's a great coach to have. Somebody you can go and sit down and talk to about anything. And he leaves his door open to his players, and that's what I love about him.
Did you like what he did? Went to Texas A&M, didn't finish the season. Did you like it that way, or did you think it just he should have stayed and got to the bowl game and then say, okay, I'm done?
For me, I understand the business and how everything works.
Right.
You get a higher paying job, you go take it.
Big money, you go.
But I know a lot of the guys didn't like how it happened, but as you get older, you start to understand, why. And I thought he was going to be the last coach that Florida State ever had, but it just didn't work out that way. And, I think it kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, but, I feel like there were other reasons why everything happened the way it did, but Jimbo's not going to be the guy to say, okay, well, I left because of this. It's a lot of business stuff that comes into play. I know he didn't hate being at Florida State. I know he loved it. So, I just wish him the best. Like I said before, I love him as a person as well. So I hope he can go there and be at A&M and win a lot of championships.
One last question. With Taggart now being the coach, do you feel like he's going to be on the hot seat this year? Because I know last year it was a transition and everybody gave everybody, and you're alumni of the university, and you were like, what did you think?
I think it's real tough to say because Coach Bowden was there forever.
Right.
And then you got Jimbo, he came in and he won.
You run
pretty much in a matter of 5 years he won national championships.
But the first year it was like a struggle, for Jimbo.
Yeah. So after, I guess, 4 years, so he was a head coach for 3 and then won after my senior year. So, he had so much success, and we went to the ACC championship his first year and all of that. And as a fan base, you expect to always go to a bowl game because that's what we've always done. But I feel like now it's just a different era.
Right.
It's a different coaching staff that they have in there. Taggart has a different way of coaching than Jimbo does and everything like that. And I think it takes time for you to rebuild what people would say was a mess that Jimbo left. I didn't play much or pay attention much to recruiting and all of that, so I don't know if he didn't care enough to recruit like a lot of people say, but I think we just got to give it time. If he doesn't, if we have a down season this year, of course it's going to be a lot of talk about, okay, we got to get another coach in here because we expect to, win 8 or more games. That's just kind of that's just kind of how it is at Florida State.
Let's talk about being in Washington. What's it like playing in D.C. at FedEx Field with, all the rabid Redskin fans who basically, it's almost like you went from college to a pro team that basically, like, every minute you breathe, it's like, you're like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. It's, I say definitely for the most part. I enjoy it. I like the fans there. There's some diehard fans, and they are extremely agitated for the most of the time. Just as far as they want to win, they want to get that feeling that they had back in 2012 when they went to the playoffs. Had that good win streak to get into the playoffs. I heard the city was just rocking that year. Every game. And, that's what the fans want. They want another championship, and they're just frustrated about it. And, there's a lot of things that happen as well during off seasons that don't make them too happy because they have their plans. Okay, well, as
and
fans,
you get a new quarterback now, you're like, what?
Now we got a new quarterback, and everybody's like, well, why did we get him? We need to just draft one. It's a lot of, it's a lot of stuff that goes on. The fans are just super passionate and just want to win at the end of the day. But I enjoy it. I love playing for them, and I hope I can, as long as my career lasts, I hope I can be it.
Yeah, one last question. What's it like being representing the Redskins for tonight with the Ed Black Perch Awards? I know you've been off and off the field with injuries, and it's like, what do you feel, being representing the Skins?
Oh, it's definitely an honor for sure. And then just so happened the training staff won this year too, so they've seen a lot of me over the last
you're like,
6
I'm done with
years.
you.
So I love it. I enjoyed it, and I'm honored that my teammates, especially, voted me for this award, and it really means a lot.
Well, Chris, thank you so much, and I know you got your little guy right there.
Yeah.
So have fun. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm gonna clap my hands. I think I might tap my feet. Put together a one-man band, take it walking on down the street. Have a one-man parade. Nobody needs to know, 'cause I'm right good at holding on to secrets, and I don't believe they show. All I want is a little dog to be walking at my right hand, taking the breeze just as free as you please, maybe checking out a K&O garbage can. Talking about a one-man dog, y'all, nobody's friend but mine. Hey, now you can say that he's looking kind of funky, but I do believe it suits me just fine. We were off the road again. I was wondering what to do. But Honolulu, it was pouring down rain. Baby, she had the low down blue. Hey now, I was looking for my walking cane, tying on my highway shoes, thinking about a one-man parade, y'all. Nobody. Hey, I'm right good at holding on. Honolulu, it's raining. Honolulu, sure enough, it's raining. Listen here, Honolulu, it rains. It's raining. Buckets, Honolulu, road is covered. It's raining. Muddy water. Talking about a one-man parade, y'all. Nobody. Hey, I'm right good at holding on. La 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 la.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio at 7:55 Eastern Time. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we'll have Ellie Suckerman, who writes for the Florida Marlins Fish Stripes. It's a SB Nation website for the the Miami Marlins. I still call them the Florida Marlins. Chris Willis will join us at 8:08. We'll talk to him about the Atlanta Braves, defending National League East champs. And then at 8:15 on the show, we'll have Tori Bullington, who last weekend Sacred Heart bowling team. She was bowling in the tournament and she made the 7-10 split. So you probably saw that on Twitter. So we're going to talk to her about how she convert that hard split that you don't see a lot covered on TV and even in youth leagues. And then at 8:30, Matthew Narcissus, who is the bowling coach at Louisiana Tech University down there in Louisiana. We'll talk to him as well. So we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll get ready for this is going to be the third hour. The second hour. I don't know. I'm just enjoying my fries. So anyway, you are listening to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. And in the meantime, here is the Ohio Players with the song from Hell's Kitchen.
You're gonna get your wish.
is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We have Eli Suckerman on us. He writes for the Fish Stripes. It's the SB Nation website for the Miami Marlins. I still call them the Florida Marlins, but they're Miami. Yeah, I'm old school baseball, so Eli, thanks for joining us. Talk about the Marlins. Don Mattingly's still the coach, and you have Derek Jeter in the front office, but they cut a lot of payroll last year. So is it still is it still going upwards?
They cut a lot of payroll last year, as mentioned, by trading away a lot of the old core that they had. And it wasn't an old core; it was a core of stars in their prime, at least offensively. But without the pitching around them, the team kind of stalled as an average team, and they pushed the reset button. Some all their big contracts, and payroll has even gone down a little bit more entering this year, below the $80 million range, which is one of the lowest in the National League. And as you would expect with a low payroll team, the expectations on the fields are pretty low this year, but the enthusiasm is pretty high. During this offseason, the Marlins rebranded their uniforms, their logo, their colors, and they have a pretty big campaign that they're rolling out now. This is being the second year under Derek Jeter and the new ownership. Trying to have a more genuine Miami feel, because what you were saying actually applies to a lot of people where they didn't necessarily feel that this was Miami's team, and so the rebranding has tried to connect with more fans in the area that felt detached from the team, but in the meantime they're just not going to be very good. They just have a lot of inexperience, especially in starting pitching. They have really high ceilings, guys that could very quickly become potential stars down the road. But for this season, in the stacked National League East, it's pretty clear that they're destined to finish in last place.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about tomorrow. They're playing against the Rockies. Is it going to be a sold-out crowd for the first game of the year, or is it going to be like empty seats and we tune in to watch it on, that MLB at-bat thing?
Oh, well, that's going to be a good question. There was actually a small controversy last year because they hosted the first game of the year last year against the Cubs, who have a pretty strong fan base that travels well, and even that game didn't sell out, and they ended up actually firing one of their executives shortly after opening day for being unable to sell out that one game that there's usually a lot of excitement about. It's going to be a close call because, again, with this rebranding, a lot of people haven't seen the ballpark in its current form. What they did over this offseason is not from public money, but from ownership itself. They funded their own renovations to the ballpark. It was a pretty new ballpark to begin with, but they actually changed the color scheme pretty dramatically. They changed the seating arrangements. They removed that signature home run sculpture that I'm sure you recognize, that used to light up after every home run, that had all these tropical colors on it, but it was kind of standing in the way of where you'd want to have some affordable seating. So they took out the sculpture, they put in this new standing room only section, and so they're actually adding more seats than they used to have. So maybe it won't be a sellout, but I think the crowd is going to be more engaged than they were last year, at least, even if, again, the team itself is kind of lacking in established talent.
Yeah, I was reading over the weekend that Wei Chen used to be here in Baltimore, and they put him in the bullpen. So is the Marlins on the verge of just getting rid of that contract? I know it's a really hefty contract that they signed him a couple years ago.
No, they're not, and that's kind of a point of contention for some people, is that he is the highest paid player on the team this year at $20 million, and he will be next year at $22 million, and the performance doesn't justify that. Even at the front end of the contract, he missed a lot of time with elbow injuries. But they made a decision just a couple days ago where they had too many starting pitchers and not enough slots for them, and what they ended up doing is they released Dan Straley, who was a veteran that was really well respected in the clubhouse, but a back-end type of guy talent-wise, and he just they were able to shave off a few $1 million by getting rid of him prior to opening day, whereas Chen's contract was guaranteed. And for now, they're trying to hide Chen in the bullpen to make way for their exciting young starters. The young starters include Trevor Richards, Pablo Lopez, Sandy Alcantara, Caleb Smith. And these aren't household names right now, but they really have a chance to be in just the next couple of years. But for the time being, they just seem they're not ready to accept that Chen contract is a sunk cost. So right now he's staying on the roster. They might hide him on the injured list if it has to come to that. And frankly, if one of these young starters that have so much promise, if they disappoint, then Chen would be the first guy that is considered to jump back into the rotation. He wasn't a terrible pitcher last year, but it was clear that he's not part of the future, even if his contract is guaranteed. So they're in an awkward spot with him.
Yeah. Well, one last question to ask you. Curtis Granderson, who used to be with the Mets, and you have Neil Walker, who used to be the Mets. So I guess you have Mets South now, with the two former Met players on the Miami roster.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, both those guys were brought in for similar reasons because they're just so respected in the clubhouse and because they've had really productive careers. I mean, especially Granderson, if you look at it, there was a time where he was one of the very best players in the entire sport. And he, at this point, he's 38 years old. He's the oldest player on the roster. They're not expecting him to be an everyday player, but his intangibles are off the charts. He's known for being really involved with the community wherever he goes, and they expect that to rub off on their young players because it's a nice balance between talented young guys that are ready to play every day, that prove themselves in the minor leagues, and then at positions like the corner outfield spots where Granderson is, and at first base, where Neil Walker is expected to see a lot of playing time, they did not have top prospects that are ready to break through yet. So those guys are stopgaps, but they're pretty much as good as you can do for those stopgaps because they're affordable at this age, and they're ready to be mentors at this stage of their career. So even if, again, the team doesn't win very many games, they're excited for the impact that both Walker and Granderson will have.
That's true. Well, Eli, I hope you enjoy tomorrow's game against the Rockies, and hopefully the season will be better than what we're talking about now.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Chris. I'll do my best to enjoy it.
All right, we'll be right back here on HerbFM Sports Radio with Chris Willis from Talking Chops here on HerbFM Radio.
So she chased after her dream with much desire. But when she got too close to her expectation, her dream burned up like paper and fire. Paper and fire, sticking up the ashtray. Paper and fire, smoking up the alleyways. Who's to say the way a man should spend his day? Smolder like paper and fire. He wanted love with no involvement, so he chased the wind. That's all the silly life required. And the days of vanity went on forever.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio, and we have Chris Willis with us, who the SB Nation website for the Atlanta Braves, Talking Chop. So, Chris, thanks for joining us. One more day, or basically 24 hours, almost 24 hours of baseball returns tomorrow. So, what does the Braves have to do to repeat as NL champs? Are you still there? Chris? You knew. Chris?
Hi.
Hey, can you hear me?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I can hear you now.
All right, cool. Let's talk about what does the Braves have to do to repeat as National League East champs?
Oh, well, that it looks like that job's going to be a lot harder this time around, just by judging by how much better the rest of the division got. But I thought the Braves did an interesting thing this offseason. They really bet on that young core, and they've left themselves some flexibility to make some moves in season if they need it. So, I think it's gonna take Josh Donaldson, who was their one big off-season addition, having a healthy and productive season. But you're going to have to see guys like Ronald Acuna take the next step, build off that Rookie of the Year season he had last year. Ozzie Albies kind of bounced back from those second half struggles, and that pitching staff's going to be tested early. And the Braves really banked on their young pitching during the rebuild, and it's going to get put to the test.
Mm-hmm. Just talk about the last game of the spring training. Swanson. Last year he struggled, but he hit a home run. In that game against the Reds. So you think he's going to turn it around with have a good season?
Yeah, I mean reports. We didn't really know it at the time, but apparently he battled a wrist issue for most of last season. He got off to. And people don't remember it, but he got off to a pretty good start last season, and then they played this just excruciatingly cold game up in Chicago, and apparently hurt his wrist. And I mean, he gutted his way through the rest of the way, but I think his offensive numbers struggled a little bit for it. He had off-season surgery. He's looked much better at the plate. He's handling that outside pitch a lot better. And I think that's always been the key for him. He really hadn't had an answer, since becoming a major league regular for that outside pitch, whether it's a fastball or a slider. So I think that's the biggest key for him. But, I like what I saw from him in the spring, and I think he can take a step forward as well.
Yeah. Well, just talk about the pitching staff. You have Gossman, you got from the Orioles, and what does he look like this year in the spring? That's a lot better than I know. Last year with the Orioles, he kind of struggled, and I think the Orioles kind of don't do well with their pitching staff. When they're training them, get them up to the majors. I think they cut things out. Do you see a lot of difference from him in the spring?
Well, he's really, we haven't seen a whole lot from him. He's going to open the season on the injured list.
Okay.
He developed a sore shoulder early in camp, and he threw, I believe it was the first Saturday, or it might have been the first exhibition game in Atlanta, and he looked better, than he had. He got hit pretty hard his first two outings of the spring. But I mean, what you were talking about there, I think that's what the Braves were banking on, that they saw something in Gossman that, perhaps they could unlock, his potential. He pitched pretty well after they got him last year. His peripheral numbers wasn't that much different, though, than what we saw in Baltimore. But, I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to do, for a full season in an Atlanta uniform. And, he's going to have a good defensive club behind him. I think that'll help him some. Moving to the National League should help him some. But, we got to get those – he's going to have to get those shoulder issues taken care of. I mean, that's something you don't want to see linger on throughout the season.
Yeah. Well, talk about the SunTrust Park. Second year of that brand new ballpark. Is there still some cool stuff in that ballpark that people haven't seen?
Oh, it's an awesome venue. I've had the opportunity to go down a few times and see it. Just the fun atmosphere. It's so much different than Turner Field. And I'm a guy that really enjoyed Turner Field and the history that it had in Atlanta. But when you go to SunTrust Park, you can plan a day or a whole weekend around being there. And there's so much that the area has to offer outside the stadium. And I think that was one of the big appealing parts of it, and what the Braves were really going for when they had that vision of a new stadium and the battery and so on. So, I mean, I think it's just going to continue to get better.
Yeah. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and you can read his stuff on Talking Chops as the Braves SB Nation, and I hope you enjoy the first game of the year tomorrow.
All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
All right, folks, we'll be right back here on the sports desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Nibbling on sponge cake, watching the sun bake. All of those tourists covered with oil, strumming my six string on my front porch swing. Smell those shrimp, they're beginning to boil. Wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost sugar of salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's nobody's fault. Don't know the reason, stayed here all season.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We have Tori Boughton with us from Sacred Heart Women's Bowling Team, and the reason why we have her on the air this week because if you have Twitter, they were bowling in the Northeast Conference Championship last week, and this young lady converted the 7-10 split. So, Tori, thanks for joining us. Talk about that. How you look like you threw the ball, and how shocked were you to get a 7-10 split?
When I shot the 10 pin, I actually turned around. In one of the Twitter videos, you can actually see that I completely turned around and didn't even see it. And when I looked at my teammates, all of their faces are like looking at it. So I turned around and just caught the glimpse of like the 10 pin hitting the 7 pin. So I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I watched the video so many times. So it's pretty cool.
How cool is that they put that on Twitter? Did you know about it, or did somebody tell you it was on there, or how did you know about it?
I did know about it. One of the commentators immediately put it up right after it happened. Like he edited the video so quickly and put it right up. And when I looked at my phone after the match was over, I had a ton of text messages from a whole bunch of people about making the 7-10.
That's cool, awesome. Yeah, I actually did it. I actually converted the 7-10 the way that what you did was you shot it at the 10 pin, and I did exactly like that and bounced out and rolled over and then hit the 7. So that's so you and I know how to hit a 7-10, but that's just luck. People don't realize that's a lot of luck there. I guarantee you probably won't do it. You probably won't even do it again the next time you see it, right?
Yeah, well, we had practice yesterday, and I left it, and everyone made a joke and said, well, I go 2 for 2, and I didn't. So.
Nice. Well, you guys made it into the NCAA tournament this year. You have to play a match at Millsboro Lanes in Millsboro, Delaware on April 6th. So what was the feeling like watching that on TV today?
It was really cool. All of the people at Sacred Heart were really excited because they haven't done it in a couple of years. And to see Sacred Heart up there with a chance to go to nationals and be one of the top teams that everyone's watching, it is really, really cool. And everyone's so excited. We can't wait for this experience.
Yeah, so you're taking on a team, Caldwell University. So do you know anything about these people? Have you bowled against them?
Caldwell actually used to be in the Northeast Conference. This is the first year they're not in the Northeast Conference, and they won the conference they moved to, which is pretty cool. But we've seen Caldwell a lot. We bowl their tournaments. They bowl our tournament at the beginning of the year. So we're familiar with them.
Oh, okay. Well, talk about your coach. I know your coach is probably listening to us right now, but talk about your coaches and what do they bring to the table to help you out as a bowler?
Becky is absolutely incredible. My freshman year, some of the seniors used to say that she's this legend, and she's so knowledgeable. She's so much fun, and then Rich is even more fun. He always makes it really funny and makes jokes about it and gives high fives. They're all into it, and they keep us calm, but they're also they help us with who we are, and they develop us into these really great bowlers. We come into this program not knowing what we're going to come out as, and everyone comes out better than what they came in as.
Yeah, she's been there for 25 years. That's pretty good for one program. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Tori, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you could keep doing the 7-10 splits and maybe practice it without anybody knowing. So when when it comes to tournament time, you become an expert and all that stuff.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We'll be right back with Mike Burnup, who is actually at the hotel in D.C. We'll talk to him about Virginia Tech versus Duke right here on HerbFM Radio. All right, folks, welcome back. You ready? All right, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Radio. We have our good friend Mike Burnup, who's in D.C. when this weekend Virginia Tech's men's basketball team is playing Duke. This is an ACC battle in the Sweet 16. So you guys are really familiar with Duke because you beat them a couple weeks ago before the tournament. So but they didn't have Zion, as the playing for Duke. So is that the factor for you guys?
Well, he's obviously a huge factor. He's probably going to be the player of the year in the whole country. So he's a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. And so obviously the Hokies will have their hands full with him. And the other thing in the first game is Virginia Tech didn't have Justin Robinson, one of their key players. So it's going to be fun to have both teams at full strength and play it like it is and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this environment last weekend. You guys played Liberty on Sunday night late. So, was it like just playing somebody from your backyard, but you have to go all the way out to California for that?
Wasn't that funny, Chris? I mean, it's amazing. We're 3,000 miles away, and we're playing a team that's 90 miles from our backyard. So it's pretty funny. And the other ironic thing is that we played Liberty in a hurricane relief, just kind of an exhibition game early in November, and had a little familiarity with them getting ready for that game. So, but it was a great weekend. I mean, you get by St. Louis in the first round. They played so good in the first half. They had the lead 40-18, and then St. Louis challenged them in the second half, which was good to get some reps at that. And then they came out against Liberty. They were down 2 at the half and played much, much better in the second half. And here they are, a chance at the Sweet 16 to play the number 1 overall seed. So, boy, you talk about a great opportunity, and I think everybody's excited for it and looking forward to it.
So do you feel like Virginia Tech has the home court advantage? Because I know Duke is 6 hours away. You guys are, 3.5, 4 hours away from D.C. You feel like...
about 4 hours away. It's funny, Chris, because you either love Duke or you hate it. So the thing about it is, I mean, there's so many Hokies in Northern Virginia. I mean, that's like the heart of all our alumni. Mm-hmm. And so it should be an unbelievable crowd. The question mark is who is the other two teams going to root for? Who's Michigan State, LSU? Who are their fans going to root for? And, a lot of them are going to not like Duke and don't want to play Duke. And so there probably will be a lot of Hokie fans in the arena. So that should be fun to watch and see how that unfolds as well.
Yeah. And plus Michigan State has a very good following, too, in D.C. So it could be, a lot of Michigan State fans don't want to see Duke, or they want you guys to beat Duke.
Absolutely. That's certainly going to be a real key. And I like their team. Coach Izzo does a great job with them. Duke got tested last week. I mean, a lot of people feel like they're fortunate to be here. So I think at some point during the tournament, if you're going to try to win those 6 games, you got to get a little bit lucky. And I think Duke was a little bit lucky last week. And, so they're here. And maybe that was their wake-up call. We'll see, but it's funny because they got so many great players. I mean, you think about it. They got McDonald's All-Americans, and we got guys that like to go to McDonald's. And we got lottery picks, and we got guys that like to play the lottery every once in a while. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's really funny. But it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as well, and I know the Hokies are looking forward to it.
And plus tonight, the big Powerball numbers. So you guys should all go down to near 7-Eleven to get some tickets.
Heck
yeah. So
go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Hey, go for it. Hey, if Mike wins the lottery, is Mike going to be not on the broadcast Friday, or is he going somewhere else?
Nah, I wouldn't miss this for the world. I'll be there, no doubt about it.
Yeah, exactly. So you've been doing a lot of basketball, and then football is going to have their spring game in April the 13th. So you got a little bit, time to relax a little bit, right?
Well, then, I don't know about that. I mean, I haven't seen one spring practice yet because we've been involved in basketball so much.
Right.
So it's going to be fun to get back out there and watch them when it's all over with. And, they are going to have 3 practices after the spring game because they started a little bit late and they didn't want to start practice, then have a week spring break off and then come back. So I think it's going to be fun to get out there and watch them, see how the quarterback battle is, and watch it unfold.
Yeah, what do you think about Josh Jackson transferring to Maryland? Do you think that's a good fit for him? Because Maryland basically needs a quarterback, and I know he was doing well until that injury at Old Dominion.
Yeah, I mean, I like Josh. I think he's a great kid. He's a good quarterback. I think it's a good fit for him. You just never know. I mean, kids all think that, they should be the featured part of the team. I mean, every one of those guys that go to the portal think they're maybe got a better situation or the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. So we'll see how it works out for him. I think he's a great kid. I hope it works for him. And we'll see how the battle for it goes here at Virginia Tech with Ryan Willis and see how far Quincy Patterson has come along. He's a highly touted kid out of Chicago, and we're going to see how good he is and let that battle unfold too, because it'll be the summertime before the other kids can get here. So I think it's Ryan's job to lose, and we'll see how that plays out.
Exactly. Well, Mike, thanks for taking some time tonight for us. Enjoy the rest of the evening there in D.C., and we'll be rooting on for you on Friday night.
Okay, sounds good, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
So she chased after her dream with much desire. But when she got too close to her expectation, her dream burned up like paper and fire. Paper and fire, sticking up the ashtray. Paper and fire, smoking up the alleyways. Who's to say the way a man should spend his day? Smolder like paper and fire. You want love with no involvement, so it chased the wind. That's all a silly life requires. And the days of vanity went on forever. And he saw his days burn up like paper and fire. Paper and fire, singing up the ashtrays. Paper and fire, smoking up the alleyways. Who's to say the way a man should spend his day? Smolder like paper and fire.
All right, folks. Yeah, I can hear you good, perfectly. All right, folks. Welcome back to HerbFM Sports Radio. We have Coach Matthew Manis on the show. head coach of Louisiana Tech, down there in good old Louisiana. So, Coach, thanks for coming on the show. You guys finished 10th in Tennessee for the regular season. That was back in the middle of March. So just talk about last weekend. You guys had the conference tournament, right?
Yeah, we did. We were in Dallas, Texas for our conference championship.
Okay.
It was our conference is a little bit unique, I guess you would say. We kind of put it together, a bunch of us, because of the AQs that came into play. And some of our conferences didn't sponsor bowling. So the Southland allowed us to come in and create a conference to be able to have another chance at a national championship with an AQ.
Oh, okay. So you guys had you played against Arkansas State. You played, the winner. The winner of Sam Houston State won the conference championship. So, just talk about your conference. It seemed like there's a lot of different teams in that conference. Like you have Vanderbilt in there, and you got people that think SEC football is different from bowling.
Yeah, well, our conference is definitely the toughest conference to be in. When you look at 4 of our teams in our conference out of the 8 are going to the national championships, it's really strong. And not just on the bowling side. I mean, we all get along pretty well. We've competed against each other for years, but nobody likes to lose to each other. So it stays really competitive. Sam Houston, before we went into conference, we were 3-3 with them. We were 1-1 with Arkansas State. I think we were 2-2 with SFA. So we had a pretty decent record against everybody going in. But when you get into double elimination, anything can happen. I like the format that we use, which is the mega match now. So you have to win 2 matches in order to win that point, versus just having, if you lose 1 game, you're out. So it makes it very competitive. It makes for long days. But all in all, it's what I enjoy doing, and I know everybody else enjoys it also.
Yeah. Well, you guys didn't qualify for the NCAA tournament. Is that something you guys have to work on for next year as a personal goal for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's my goal every year. When I came here, they weren't very highly ranked. They're more towards the middle bottom of the NCAA, and we've continued to grow over the last 3 years. Next year, we have a really strong recruiting class coming in. So all these teams in the Southland are going to have to watch out for us, because I have a feeling we're going to win.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about next year. Do you guys already have the schedule out for next year, or you guys still work on it like after the season's over?
Yeah, we kind of wait until the season's over. I actually talked with the coach from Tulane. We're going to do a little scrimmage before the season starts next year, but we're waiting for all the coaches to put out what their dates are going to be. And with us being on a quarter system, I try to schedule the tournaments, so we're not going during final times and things like that, and spreading them out. Plus, we want to make sure that we're going to quality tournaments and not just, any tournament that's out there, because we want to get that at-large bid. I've got 2 girls coming in next year that have both won individual national championships at some time. I have Ellie Linebecker coming in, and she's won 3 national championships. And actually, she came in early. She's here this quarter to practice and work with us. And then I have Danielle Jedlecki, who won a U15 national championship from Tennessee. And we have 2 other girls. We have Emma Cook coming in, and she's got a ton of raw talent, and I can't wait to get her here. And we have another girl coming in from Texas, Tara Spritko, who's, great academics and comes in a bowling family. So we're going to be pretty strong next year.
Yeah. Well, Coach Matt, I want to say thanks for coming on the show tonight, and I hope you guys have a good all season. I know the all season all the girls could do other things, but hopefully you guys could bounce back and have a good year next year.
Yep, we're looking forward to it. Thanks.
All right, we'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Do believe I'm gonna clap my hands. I think I might tap my feet. Put together a one-man band, take it walking on down the street. Have a one-man parade. Nobody needs to know, 'cause I'm right good at holding on to secrets, and I don't believe they show. All I want is a little dog to be walking at my right hand, taking the breeze just as free as you please. Maybe checking out a K&O garbage can, talking about a one-man dog.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. Here's our interview we had with Jason Belmonte. We talked to him Monday afternoon right here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Hello, Jason speaking.
Hi, Jason. It's Chris Heidel from HerbFM Radio in Baltimore. How you doing?
Oh, good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Doing great. Congratulations on winning the championship last Thursday night. It was really cool watching that
Thank
on
you very
TV.
much.
Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you.
What was it like having everybody back home watching you? Was that pretty cool?
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? That was, I'm certainly not an emotional athlete. Like, I know there are some athletes that tend to win and cry a lot, but I'm certainly not one of those. And that was the most emotional experience that I've ever had while competing. Is after the win, seeing the children, knowing that my kids were in that group somewhere, it really hit me hard.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like ever since that, when you won the championship in the Tournament of Champions in the beginning of January, do you feel like after that 7-10 split you had at the players, do you feel like everything you found your rhythm pretty much after that horrible 7-10?
Oh, look, I mean, the way that you have to look at anything in bowling is, it's all, it's all shot for shot. You can't live and die on the shots that you've already bowled. You've kind of got to let them go, and you try to make adjustments, and you work as hard as you can to take errors out of your game so you don't repeat the bad shots that you throw. But if you dwell on the unfortunate breaks or the bad shots, then I tend to find that you throw more bad shots and get more bad breaks when you worry about them. So, yeah, I left that pocket 7-10. It wasn't great. It didn't feel great, but at the same time, I knew that I'll just have to give myself another opportunity to be in that position again and learn from the mistakes that I made the previous time.
Yeah. Well, we talked to you last year, and we talked about history, and you knew all about bowling since you watched bowling on tapes down in Australia. You saw the Professional Bowler Store on that, and you knew about Earl Anthony, and you knew all about the history of this game, and Pete Weber. Was it like succeeding past Earl to Pearl, and even Pete Weber is still he's injured, but he can still catch you. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's a tremendous honor, to be. I'll have my name above, Earl Anthony and Pete Weber in regards of major championship. That's something that I wasn't expecting, to be honest. So it is a tremendous honor. And, knowing that Pete is still competing, and like you said, he's injured, but he still has so much talent and can, if he gets fully healed, he certainly has the potential to win another major championship. So I'm certainly not been too complacent. Content of where I am. I need to continue to, push myself, motivate myself, and raise the bar higher, and make it even more difficult for him to equal me back.
Yeah. Well, talk about the Masters this week. You're in Las Vegas, after last week's trip to Detroit and that whole weekend of primetime games. Just talk about what do you have to do this weekend to keep the momentum going? Knowing that you have everybody now have I want to say a bullseye on you, pretty much.
Yeah, I think I've had that bullseye on my back for a little while, and it certainly doesn't bother me. I kind of like the fact that, I walk in and people expect me to do well because, I have high expectations myself, and if others have high expectations as well, it certainly, keeps me focused on the job at hand. I think that's really going to be the key for the Masters Week is to not allow myself to think that anything is going to be handed to me just based off the current form that I have or any type of, aura that I might have built over this particular win. I need to knuckle down and know that at any given time, the ball can 7-10 just like it can strike. So I need to make sure that I make it as difficult as I can for my opponents when I'm competing against them and just keep staying in the process that I have right now. It seems to be working.
What do you think about Fox taking over the broadcast this year? I think Fox is doing a fantastic job promoting bowling like it used to be back in the old days, like when it was on ABC. I feel like they're doing exactly what ABC used to do before ESPN took over. You feel like the same way?
Oh, and I think I can bravely talk on behalf of all the players. We are extremely excited about the partnership with Fox. They have stepped up the production value of the PBA Tour. We have partners like Kegel Bowling now that are offering real-time graphic, spectro data. Right. So it allows the fans to see in real time the direction of the ball and how accurate we are in our rev rates and speed. I think we even incorporated in the last few shows at the World Series of Bowling a 3D kind of graphic that allowed the fans at home to see a three-dimensional computer version of the balls going. All of these things make the production value so much higher. And then on top of that, when you're partnered with a network that believes in your product, that values your product and is actually going above and beyond in selling the product and making us more viewer-friendly in certain time slots. I mean, these are all things that when we were with ESPN, we never had that feeling of this is a true partnership. And with Fox, it is just awesome. And I mean, you have to, congratulate the PBA and Tom Clark on formalizing that deal, because I think a lot of people at the beginning of the season might have been a little bit hesitant about leaving ESPN. But obviously they knew better and they saw the potential with Fox, and they really have lived up to their promises.
Yeah. Well, one last question to ask you: what about Norm Duke winning 2 back-to-back titles? I know you faced him, one of the times for the title. What was like bowling against him?
Yeah, well, Norm is probably my original idol on the PBA Tour. He was actually the reason why I bought a purple Columbia Beast when I was a kid. I watched Norm Duke throw it, and I fell in love with Norm and fell in love with that ball. And I've said this many times. I've been fortunate enough now to play against Norm and with Norm for a decade on the Pro Tour. And the one thing that you've never looked at Norm in a way of like his age. I've never seen him as a senior player. In terms of thinking, oh, well, Norm's just getting older now, he should be easier to beat. I always look at him as a threat. And, if anything, he's probably gotten smarter on the lanes now. He's gotten even more craftier with his tools and the way that he can release a bowling ball to fit into today's environment. And that makes him incredibly dangerous. When Norm Duke is on fire, he's incredibly hard to stop because he's just, a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge, and, talent that you can't teach. You can't teach what Norm does the way that he repeats. He just does it. So it's exciting to watch him play, but it's also, you kind of wish he wasn't so good because it makes it harder for you to win.
Right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for taking some time today, and good luck this week in Vegas, and hope to see you Monday night on Fox on April 1.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Radio. You just heard Jason Belmonte. We talked to him on the phone yesterday, on Monday. Now we're going to turn the page back to arena football. We have the writer for the Philadelphia Soul beat writer and the founder of the Arena Insider, Anthony Carter, with us. Anthony, thanks for joining us. Just talk about what's the Soul look like this year with the player wise during this whole free agency.
I think the Soul are looking for even I think a better year than last year. They got a lot of young talent, especially from open tryouts. They're really going for a younger roster this year. Their oldest players probably Rodaball and Romaine and Nua, Keith Nua, who are all 31 years old. So that was the route those wanted to go down a few years ago. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough this year with Atlantic City making big moves as well as Columbus, who I think could be a favorite potentially. So, but I think the Soul, just because they have that history of winning arena ball, I think they're going to have that on their shoulders, and I believe they'll be able to work with the young players, work with the new players, and they really stepped up defensively as well too. So I think that's going to be an area to watch out for this season.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk about the schedule. They're playing Atlantic City the first game of the year on April 27th. Are they going to try to build a rivalry with Atlantic City, even if they're only an hour and 15 minutes away from each other?
It might have to be. I know they're old rivals were the Rattlers, but they're not in the league anymore. So I think that could be a potential rivalry with Atlantic City. I think that was a nice partnership getting them into the league, and it's fun. The Soul. See, I remember from a couple years ago, the Soul actually played at Boardwalk Hall for one of their home series games, and so they're familiar with that arena. And I think, especially with Jaws, kind of in control of both franchises, I think that's going to be nice to see. So I do believe that will be a potential rivalry down the road as the league continues to grow more.
Yeah. I think that I heard the league in 2020 they're going to add more teams, so it seems like this league is actually trying to get itself better with more teams and expand the wealth of the players.
Right, and Cleveland. If you forgot, Cleveland's on a hiatus. They should be back next season as well. As long as everything goes well, they were on a hiatus just for these past 2 seasons, but they should be back as well. So even adding Cleveland back into the mix should be huge for the league.
Yeah. So what's it like covering the Soul? Yeah. How many years have you been covering the Soul for you guys?
This has probably been about maybe my 5th year. I think I'm going into.
Okay.
So it's been a while. Yeah.
You still enjoying talking to the coaches and the players and all that stuff?
Yeah. One of our writers from our website, Matthew Cass, he actually sent me a video of Rodaball asking, "Hey, he's like, Anthony, where you at? You're supposed to be at tryouts." I'm in college right now, so I couldn't have been at tryouts. But I've really grown to know Coach Dolezal, his family as well, and Rodaball and Romaine. I just try to stay in touch with those guys, and so I've been real familiar with the organization, and I know they're always excited to see not even just me, but just the coverage of media. I think that's probably one important thing with the Arena Football League is get more media coverage, and so I know they appreciate seeing us as well as other sites and other radio stations as well. So definitely for sure.
Yeah, like myself and you and everybody else putting it out there, and you're enjoying the coverage.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. So where can people read your stuff? You're on the Arena Insider. So is there stories that you've been writing? I know you're at college right now, but are you still working on some stories, or just going to wait for the start of camp and start of the season?
Yeah, so so our articles are on Arena Insider. They're also on Apple News and Google News. We're working on an app this year. Hopefully we can get that released pretty soon. But I've been at some point I am going to do a player feature maybe in the next couple of weeks. Also going to talk with the commissioner as well, just going about his thoughts. I talked to him briefly last year, just about the league expansion. But so we got 2 new writers for Columbus. We're going to announce them soon. I have my sole writer Matthew again, so he's going to help me out as I'm wrapping up college this semester. So yeah, and I'm just gonna keep continuing with the site and everything, and making sure the Arena Football League gets the coverage it deserves.
Yeah. So all right. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you throughout the rest of this training camp and all of that stuff.
No problem. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll be right back here on the sports desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. The taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Radio. Coming up at 9 o'clock here on HerbFM Radio, we'll have Liz Johnson from the Ladies Professional Bowlers Tour. She's out there bowling in the Masters out there in Las Vegas. So we'll talk to her about bowling out there. And then we have John Williamson, who is the Vanderbilt women's bowling coach, the #1 team in the country. Will join us at 9:08. And at 9:15, Chris Blair, who does the voice of the LSU Tigers basketball, we'll talk to him on the phone about his trip to D.C. and what LSU has to do against Michigan State. And then we'll finish the show with Sherman Reed, the head coach at Coppin State University. We'll be broadcasting live this Saturday, March 30th, at pregame show at 1:45 Eastern Time. Games at 2 o'clock on HerbFM Radio between Norfolk State and Coppin State, and myself and Steve Zillage will be with the call. So we hope you folks could. I know it's supposed to be a very nice weekend down in here in Maryland, but hopefully you folks could, if you can't make it to the game, hopefully you could tune in to us here on HerbFM Sports Radio. The website is www.herbfmsportsradio.weebly.com, and or you can see us on Twitter. We'll put the link on Twitter as well. So in the meantime, we're going to take a break and we'll get ready to talk to Liz Johnson, one of the ladies who are bowling on the Professional Bowlers Tour, the men's tour, down at the Masters in Las Vegas. And we'll see how she did today in her preparation for that. So in the meantime, here is some great music from Jimmy Butler.
Nibbling on sponge cake, watching the sun bake. All of those tourists covered with oil, strumming my six string on my front porch swing. Smell those shrimp, they're beginning to boil. Wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost sugar salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's nobody's fault. Don't know the reason, stayed here all season. Nothing to show but this brand new tattoo. But it's a real beauty, a Mexican cutie. How it got here, I haven't a clue. Wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost sugar salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame. Now I think, hell, it could be my fault. I blew out my flip-flop, stepped on a pop-top, cut my heel, had to cruise on back home. But there's booze in the blender, and soon it will render that frozen concoction that helps me hang on. Wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost sugar salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's my own damn fault. Yes, and some people claim that there's a woman to blame, and I know
long as you can hear me, because
Yeah.
the connection in the hotel is really bad.
Oh, I can hear you. You sound good. All right, folks.
Okay.
Welcome back
good.
to the hour number 3. We're here with Liz Johnson from the Women's Professional Bowlers Tour, but she's bowling at the Masters this week on the men's side. Liz, thanks for joining us. Talk about bowling on the Masters. How'd you do in the first day of Master qualifying?
Did okay. Wasn't a bad start. Shot 27 for my first 5 games. The shot is brutal. Scores are low, especially on the fresh. On the burn, they seem to go up a little bit. So hopefully, we got a lot of games left. Got 10 games left, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, just talk.
One day at a time.
Yeah. Well, talk about the oil pattern. What type of oil pattern are you guys bowling this week?
I think it's a 39-foot pattern, but it plays the front hook a lot. The front, you really have to get to the front part of the lane. A lot of lofting going on. More lofting that I've done in a while this week, and it's filling frames. You do a lot of filling frames and try to stay out of trouble and make a lot of good adjustments. They're really, really different from pair to pair. There's a lot of 50 and then you get 150, and unfortunately didn't have too much big trouble tonight. I think my low game I went 208, 190, 225, 189, and then 214. I think my last game. So wasn't anything too crazy up or down. So hopefully I can get up to a better start on fresh tomorrow morning. I got 8 squad tomorrow morning.
Okay. So I was wondering these hay squads. So that's well, you don't have to bowl until 6 o'clock in the evening. So that'll be that's a whole day keeping yourself loose, right?
Yeah. Well, tomorrow I bowl 8 o'clock or 8:30 squad.
Okay.
A B squad.
Okay.
So B, then A, and then you wait like another day and a half, and then Friday is the late squad, 6:30 squad. So hopefully, I guess more of an early person and get up and hopefully get a good score tomorrow, and then rest for a day and a half and come back Friday. So,
Yeah.
Again, we're just gonna kind of take one day, one game at a time. It's been a few years since I made a Masters cut, so I really want to try to get through, hopefully get through the first round. See what happens after that.
Well, let's just talk about bowling with all the guys. You got Jason, Belmo. You got all the young kids, and you probably have the old guys too, like Norm Duke and and Walter. And what's it like bowling with all those people?
Oh, those guys are awesome. A lot of great guys out there, great bowlers, and you feel part of the tour. They always make me feel at home when I'm out there, and I've always felt very comfortable being out here and bowling with and against the guys, and I still like to compete, and it's still fun for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you also bowl on the women's tour. That's going to start up in the end of April. So that's going to be
Yeah.
So just talk about that with different. You guys are bowling probably in my neck of the woods, Richmond, Virginia, for the championship. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I heard we're going back there. We start the last weekend of April. It's in Parma Heights, Ohio. Sorry, Cleveland area, and then we go up to Minnesota and then Nebraska, Wichita for the Queens. We have a week off, and then we go out west, and then from there on, it's kind of all over the place. The U.S. Open is back in Vegas the end of June. And then I believe we come back later on. So we're going to be pretty much hitting all different parts of the country. We're not going back to Texas. We're going to Houston for the doubles, but we were in Dallas the last several years. I don't think we're going back to Dallas, but we have another tour stop in Orlando, and Richmond for the Tour Championship. So after the Lucy doubles in Houston in the end of July, then we go right to Connecticut. So there's going to be some time crunching on that. But we pretty much touch on different parts of the country, which will be, pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have a great time tomorrow. I hope you bowl really well. Thanks for taking some time for us, and good luck this week. And hopefully we'll see. Hope you do well, and might see you next Monday.
Thank you very much. Hopefully I'm still here. That would be good.
All right, folks. We'll be right back with John Williamson, the #1 coach from the Vanderbilt women's bowling team, right here on HerbFM Radio. All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We have the head coach of the #1 team in women's bowling, the Vanderbilt Commodores, the women's team, John Williamson, with us. Coach John, thanks for joining us. You guys got your #1 team in the country, and today you found out where you guys are. You got a automatic bid in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's something that we sort of shoot for every year. We don't necessarily plan on being the #1 team, or at least we hope to be the #1 team, but doesn't always work out that way. But we found out that we got enough work this year to do that, so that was sort of a fun surprise.
So you guys have a basically, I don't want to say a week off, but you have to wait for the winner of Sacred Heart versus Caldwell. So have you guys faced those teams before?
We played Sacred Heart several times this year. We have not played. I do not think we played Caldwell this year. But for us, we've been fortunate to go to the NCAA tournament a few times, or 14 times in a row. So the schedule for us is the same. We'll go to Cleveland. I think it's April 9th, and we'll fight. By then we'll figure out who will play. So the play-in stuff that just in the second year doesn't really affect us too much.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at your roster. You have a young lady from Perry Hall, Maryland, on your roster. Just talk about her and what does she bring to the team.
Brianna is a junior from your neck of the woods. She's a fantastic person. She's double majoring in education, elementary education. If she wants to do something in the business world, she's sort of torn between the two. But she is one of the most positive, upbeat people you'll ever come across. So one of the things that she always brings is
sort of that positivity. She's able to contribute, and she scores when we give her the opportunity. Sometimes we've got a talented roster, so she probably doesn't get as much opportunity as she probably deserves or merits. But when you got 7 or 8 girls that are all playing the ball well, sometimes it's hard to get them all a chance.
Mm-hmm. Well, just talk about you. I was looking at your background. Just talk about your background. How did you become coach of Vanderbilt?
Well, I guess I sort of backed into it. I was working with the Vanderbilt baseball team doing operations, travel logistics, on-campus recruiting, just basic administration for our new baseball coach at the time, Tim Corbin, who's still a baseball coach. And I'd done that for 2 years. They announced in the spring of 2004 that they were going to start a bowling team just shortly after the first NCAA championship in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And they interviewed a whole bunch of people. Didn't like the people. They didn't like the people. People didn't like the job. Whatever the interview process was. Long story short, I guess, is I'm a sort of a decent recreational bowler. Some people told the people that were doing the search that I was a really good bowler, which I guess for layman or just going out and having fun, I'm a pretty good player.
Mm-hmm.
But they came up and asked me if I really was a really good bowler, and I at the time didn't even know that had announced they were starting a team, and I just sort of in a arrogant sort of way I said yes I am, and then the guy asked me if I ever thought about being the bowling coach, and I told him no, I'd never thought about it. And I was interested at the time of getting out of the team. I didn't like the baseball is such a grind. It's
right.
From January until June. It's every weekend. It just was for 2 years. It was extremely difficult. And so I was looking to transition, and I was thinking about getting into college fundraising. There were some opportunities at different universities away from Nashville. And when they asked me that, I started thinking about it. My family's from Middle Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sort of thought that this could maybe be, at that time I was like, this could maybe be like being a head coach of a Division I program without some of the negatives that I saw firsthand with being around the baseball team. Like it was hard for Coach Corbin to go to a restaurant and not be, noticed or talked to by fans, and you always have alumni and people telling you how smart or how dumb you are based off of the actions and stuff. And so those are just all kinds of things that I wasn't a big fan of. And so then I thought the bowling thing might be something that I could do I could have the benefits of being a Division I head coach and still have the anonymity of going out to eat and not really worrying about that people recognize me.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And so then they interviewed a few more people. They either turned her down or didn't like them, and they approached me in September 2004 and asked me if I wanted the job, and I said yeah, and I've been doing it since.
Oh, that's cool. Wow, so you basically got the job. What is your average in bowling? What's your average?
I probably average about between 180 and 195 if I was bowling in the league. So nothing too fancy.
Yeah.
But it's funny when I used to like bowling for fun with my friends and things like that. But when you're around it all the time, like I don't even really remember the last time I threw a ball for fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not something that I do anymore.
That's true. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Good luck this week. I know you got to wait for who you're going to see in the final week. The week after. But hope you guys have good practice.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, and thank you for recognizing college bowling.
No problem. We'll be right back with Chris Blair, the voice of the LSU Tigers basketball here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Feeling nearly faded as my jeans. Bobby thumbed the diesel down just before it rained.
took us all the way to New Orleans. I took my mouth harp out of my old dirty red bandana. I was playing sad while Bobby sang the blues. With those windshield wipers slapping time and Bobby's clapping hands, we finally sang up every song that driver knew. Whoa, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free. Whoa, feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Feeling good was good enough for me. Bobby McGee. From the coal mines of Kentucky to the California sun, Bobby shared the secrets of my soul. Standing right beside me, Lord, through everything I've done. And every night she kept me from the
All right,
cold.
folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Radio. All night we've been previewing the Sweet 16 games down in D.C., and we have Chris Blair, the voice of the LSU Tigers men's basketball, and he also does football as well, but in the football season. So, Chris, thanks for joining us. Talk about this game, big game for the Tigers taking on the Spartans of Michigan State, and if they beat them, they might have to take on Duke.
Yeah, no, it's it's a little surprising. I think a lot of LSU fans, frankly, thought this would be a good team in 2018, 2019, but I'm not sure anybody certainly thought they would make it this far. I know they're pleasantly surprised. Certainly the national media, I think, is a little upset they've made it this far for whatever reason. They've not given LSU a lot of respect all season long. So they're excited to be here. I mean, it's a team that certainly has fought and clawed and scratched their way to win the SEC. Nobody expected that, going 16-2, beating Kentucky at Rupp Arena, defeating Tennessee at home, and now here they are in the Sweet 16. So it should be a good matchup. I think when you look back to last weekend's game with Maryland in Jacksonville in the second round of the NCAA tournament, it was kind of a pretty good tune-up against the Spartan team, although Michigan State, Tom Izzo, his teams are built for this type of tournament and this time of the season. But a lot of similarities between Maryland's style and Michigan State's style. I think the big difference is that Michigan State's probably got a little more experience and a little more talent in certain positions. But it's going to be a battle, and LSU has been, kind of the team that's felt like it's us against the world all season long. That's not going to change this weekend. Michigan State certainly isn't going to take pity on them.
No, I think Michigan State, it's going to be a good game, and like with Maryland last week, Maryland was down by 15 and they came back and made it a game. So is that something that LSU is, the players are hoping that does not happen?
Well, it's kind of been the story for LSU this season. I mean, they've had a ton of games where they've been able to build big leads and then have to battle down the stretch. I mean, this is a team that's 5-2 in overtime games this year. That's the most wins by any team in Division I basketball. So it certainly wasn't a spot they were unfamiliar with. Maryland decided to go to a zone after getting down 15 points with about 16 minutes to play. Previous to that game, I think the Terrapins had played maybe 30 possessions on the year, zone defense, but they had really no choice. I mean, they had to slow LSU down, and they were effective in doing so. LSU took some ill-advised shots, didn't have ball reversal, didn't make extra passes, settled for jump shots, and allowed Maryland to get back in. And credit the Terrapins. I mean, they knocked down some crucial shots after being stone cold from three-point land in the first half. So you look at this matchup against Michigan State, this is a team that has played zone on 5 possessions this season. So, you get to this point, I don't know how much Tom Izzo is going to change up what he wants to do, but I do know that LSU has had trouble with zone defenses, and that's kind of been a factor when teams find themselves in a tempo they're not comfortable with. They've gone to zone to kind of slow things down. But Michigan State plays very good man-to-man defense. It's their calling card. It's what they do. And we'll have to wait and see. I mean, put it this way, if Tom Izzo and Michigan State are playing zone, that means LSU has a big lead at some point in this ballgame.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like with the distraction with the coach being suspended, do you feel like the team is more family-oriented now and they're all just, playing as one big unit?
I think it's got a big part of their success. But again, as I said, from the start of the season, they've kind of been that way. Because nobody really gave them any kind of respect. I mean, they went on a 10-game win streak, started SEC play and suddenly was up there near the top of the conference with Kentucky and Tennessee, and still everybody said, well, they haven't played the meat of the conference yet. Well, the meat of the conference was Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Tennessee, and LSU won all 3 of those games. And even after that, they didn't get a whole lot of respect. So you add this, another hurdle that this team has had to overcome. I mean, don't forget, I don't know how many of your listeners know that, one of their veteran players, one of their brothers, was tragically killed the night before preseason practice began. And we're talking about Wade Sims. He was a rising junior, was expected to contribute quite a bit. It was a horrible, horrible tragedy. So from the very start of this season, this team has had a lot of bad luck and things they've had to deal with. So this is just another one, but this team has been very prepared. They've been very workmanlike in their approach to every game, preparation, and on the floor. So, again, nothing they do at this point surprises me.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I know you just got there. Thank you so much for checking in with us. Enjoy the next couple days in D.C., and hopefully the weather is very nice for you guys. I know it's a business trip, but you can go around and take a look at the city.
Yeah, I'm back where I used to be, here in the Georgetown section of Washington. So, going to get out tomorrow. I think temperature's going to warm up a little bit tomorrow and Friday, and it should be a great weekend of basketball.
All right. Thanks for coming on. We'll be right back with Sherman Reed. We'll be with Sherman Reed from Coppin State. We'll be right back here on HerbFM Radio.
Maybe tonight I will say what's on my mind, but the words are oh so hard to find. When I try to speak, it comes out like nervous chatter, then my knees get weak and I can't stop shaking. I try to relax, 'cause I must maintain my cool. She knows I'm here. If I don't make a move right now, she's gonna disappear. Hey, child.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio, and we have the head coach of Coppin State Baseball, Coach Sherman Reed, with us, and the reason why we have him on the air because HerbFM Radio is broadcasting Saturday's game against Norfolk State here on HerbFM Radio. So, Coach, tough game today against UMBC. You guys up 1-0 after 4, and then it looks like everything fell apart.
And Chris, that tend to happen when you have 2 midweeks. We don't typically have more than 2 or maybe 3 multi-midweek games in between the all-important conference weekend series. And we had a Tuesday, Wednesday midweek game slated. Had a very successful, dramatic come from behind 10th inning win last night in Emmitsburg against well-coached St. Mary's team. And then coming back in less than 24 hours, we had a really good outing by one of our top relievers that we gave a start to, but obviously we can't compromise him and have him go more than a certain number of pitches so that we can have him available for some innings this weekend. Once we pulled him and went with some of the younger guys on the back end of the rotation, things got out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah. But is that good for you guys to bring people into this time? I know you played back-to-back games, but it's always good to bring in some of the new guys so they can get some innings work and they can get themselves acclimated to the college game, right?
Yes, because we're in the developmental game, and obviously it's games like today where you have some innings that you've got to plug guys into. And usually those are your freshmen, first-year guys, or guys that may not, up to this point, have had a number of innings under their belt. So it gives them a chance to go out there And obviously, with the way things transpired, some of those guys are still learning how to get it done at this level.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at this weekend's game. You guys are playing against Norfolk State. This is a 3-game series. It's not a doubleheader. It's 3 single games. So luckily the weather it looks pretty good this weekend, so you can get all 3 of them in.
Yeah, they look, and the weather forecast looks really good. It looks like it's going to be a warming trend that's going to come in. So we're going to get some warm baseball-like weather, and we're looking forward to the Norfolk series. I know that all of the preseason publications, nationally and locally, have Norfolk and Coppin battling it out for the division championship, with many of them picking us to come out on top as we did last year. But Norfolk's going to have a lot to say about that. I mean, they've always been a real tough team, well coached. Coach Keith Shoemake do a real good job recruiting and bringing in quality guys. So right now we stand 1 game ahead of them in the standings. So this series here is going to be an early conference season challenge for both universities, and that whoever can get away with a series win is going to put themselves in real good position to be right along the top of the division, less than just at the almost halfway point of the conference season.
Yeah, and plus, if you sweep them, you can get you have 1 leg up on them, so you don't face them until end of the year. So if you take the series 3 games to none, you sweep them, that might help you at the end of the year.
Yeah, and that's why this series is so important, because it's head to head. With Norfolk and Coppin right now, the only 2 teams in our division with a winning record in conference. Obviously, this shapes up to be a very important early season matchup, because, as I mentioned, the winner of this, hey, we talk about sweep after we win the series, and we win the series by winning the first 2 games. Once we win the first 2 games, obviously we're going to be in really good shape, given the quality arms that we have ready for this weekend to really have a successful weekend and kind of take command of that Northern division.
Yeah. So I know you haven't set your pitching rotation, but who's going to be starting this weekend, and who might be there on Saturday?
Yeah, right now the 3 guys that have been manning the starting spots in our pitching rotation for conference has been Jamon Taylor, who's a senior right-hander who led the conference in earned run averages. Has been a quality arm for us for 4 years now, and we've had his best friend who went to school with Jamon Taylor. We recruited them both out of the 2015 class, and that gentleman is Aaron Gray. Okay. And then the 3rd guy is a local guy right outside the Maryland, D.C. area, and that is Devin Rivera Ozuna. He tends to be the 3rd guy to get the ball. Saturday, it looks like there's a good chance that we're going to have Jamon Taylor go on Saturday instead of his typical Friday start, just to give him one additional day off.
And you guys are on like a 5-day pitching schedule, like in minor league baseball, right?
Yeah, it tends to in college be more of a 6-day. Okay. Because the guys tend to throw once a week, and those very important quality starting arms for any college team tends to throw on the 6th or 7th day, believe it or not. And in between, they'll throw a light flat ground, and then a hard bullpen, anywhere from 48 to 72 hours from getting the ball. So in the case of with us flipping Jamon Taylor and Aaron Ray, Aaron Ray will be going more on the pro set, throwing on the 5th day instead of his typical throwing on the 6th day. But typically, they're throwing on the 6th day if they're a starting pitcher at the Division I level.
Yeah. Well, Coach Reed, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We'll see you Saturday, folks. So again, reminder, we'll be broadcasting with the pregame show at 1:45 and games at 2 o'clock between Coppin State and Norfolk State, and you can listen to it right here on HerbFM Sports Radio. So, Coach Reed, I'll see you Saturday.
Sounds like a plan, Chris. Thanks again. I look forward to seeing you in a few days.
All right, we'll be right back. Yeah, folks, that's the end of the show. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you all Saturday from Coppin down there in Joe Cannon Stadium. In the meantime, thanks for joining us, and for joining us tonight. We'll see you next Wednesday at 6 o'clock here on HerbFM Radio. In the meantime, have a great night, everybody.
Maybe tonight I will say what's on my mind, but the words are